What is going on, A2D family? My name is Jimmy Smith, and I am the newest member of the A2D family, bringing you your newest show this Friday and every Friday, 7 o'clock, on the road to victory. Tonight, I am joined by the leader of A2D, Mr. No Notes himself, Tom Arnone, helping break the new show in. Thank you for joining us, Tom.
Yeah, brother. Breaking the ice here. That's all. Icebreaker. Excited to have you, brother. It's going to be a great time. And for anybody that doesn't know, Jimmy loves his Eagles and knows his shit. So I'm excited to have you on board, and we're going to rock and roll.
That's right, baby. Let's go. I'm pumped. I'm trying to do my thing and trying to build. And you reached out to me was one of the happiest days. I just got done interviewing Mark McMillan, so things are really building. And having someone like you that has been just countless players over and over, getting great guys to show, I am proud to be part of it. So thank you. Tonight's broadcast is actually brought to you by Specialized Therapy, Specialized Physical Therapy, I apologize, LLC. You can find them at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. They are located in Burlington, Princeton, and Cherry Hill locations. He's our doc. Make him yours. Dr. Paul Vidal. All right, guys. Well, this is the first show, so I'm truly excited to be here. Devonta Freeman, we got some comments already. We're definitely going to get into that. That is the topic for tonight. I knew you guys would probably want to talk. There's a lot of talk about free agents. There's definitely some question marks at a lot of positions. So we got Tom here for a little bit. So we're going to use him. You guys see the poll question for today was Jason Peters. We should re-sign him. Do you agree? Do you disagree? That's a big topic. So we're going to break down the roster. We're going to talk about everything we've seen so far with, the draft, free agency, all that good stuff. So I can't wait, guys. So Tom, pumped to have you. We have you for a little bit here. So why don't you tell us, this guy says here, Ted FX, he knows Tommy's opinion. So why don't you give us your opinion on where the roster stands? Maybe you could let us know what your opinion on the poll question is.
Yeah, I mean, to the poll question, I've been yelling and screaming about it. I agree. The loss of Vitae and then the loss of Peters too. I just think it's too much for an offensive line that's going through some injuries and hasn't been fully healthy together that much. But bigger than that, when you talk about Andre Dillard, it's an unknown. That doesn't mean he can't play. That doesn't mean he won't be great. We don't know. What we do know is Jason Peters is a Hall of Famer. What we do know is that you pay your left tackles the second most money in football outside of the quarterback position. They're knowns. So if I can bring a Hall of Famer back for two reasons, if he can push Andre Dillard, if they can compete in camp for that job, and if Dillard goes and wins it, then so be it, right? So be it. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't, then we find out a lot about him. And if Dillard does win it and struggles or goes down, or let's say Lane gets hurt for a game or two, it'd be nice to have Jason Peters there as a nice backup. We're so much under the cap. I don't think it's a big deal of giving, $8 million for a backup left tackle. I don't think it's a big deal. If we're going to use a second round pick on a quarterback, we sure as heck should bring back a Hall of Fame left tackle.
Couldn't agree more with you there, Tom. We talked about this the other day. I believe in Andre Dillard. That's somebody I was high on going into the draft. So when we got him, I was pumped. Obviously, one of the question marks was, could he work on his run blocking? Now, we thought, you have Jason Peters teaching you. You have Jeff Stoutland, one of the best offensive line coaches in the game. So you're under his belt. You better get stronger. That's one of his knocks as well. So the problem is we haven't seen anything because we can't right now. So it's tough. So why not give yourself someone like Jason Peters to back you up? Because, one of the things you and I talked about the other day is, if he can't beat out a 38-year-old left tackle, then he doesn't deserve the job. You're a first-round pick, and you can't beat him out. You don't deserve it. So you talked about having about $23.5 million on the cap. Well, why not use it on, like you said, other than the quarterback, one of the most important positions on the field? So I couldn't agree more with you. I see a lot of the comments here are agreeing. Eagles should have gone for Trent Williams. I don't know about that. Probably would have cost us too much. And we used a first-round pick last year. So you got to find out what you have. But I'm not against pushing him. Competition is a good thing, especially when it comes to the left tackle. And like Tom just said, if somebody gets hurt, God forbid, because we've been dealing with that for the last couple of years, you got to have somebody behind him. And we're all pumped up about the picks. And, hey, we got Matt Pryor. He's a versatile guy. And we lost Vaitai, like you said. You know, we got a seal of a deal and Prince Tega no-go. Pumped about that. Driscoll, guy that can play tackle, probably guard for us. But it's really questionable there. Is Jordan Mailata going to step it up? So add Jason Peters. I really think you should. You see here, Palatero, if you want to get to that or if you want to touch on Jason Peters again.
Yeah, well, one more thing about Peters is, you know, listen, like we talked about, if Dillard can play, then so be it, and we'll find out. But you talked about competition. It's so important, right? If I can create competition and make guys work, that's an advantage. That makes guys better, right? And I see guys saying like Beecham and different guys out there. The great thing about Peters is he knows his system, he knows his coaching staff, and he's one of the big leaders in this locker room still.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. I know Doug said the other day, like, they're riding with Dillard. You could still ride with Dillard and have someone like JP because, you know, another thing is the veteran locker room presence. But the guy is, you know, his nickname's the bodyguard. Like, you have that guy on the sideline for a reason. So we made that mistake with Dawkins. You know, we just made that mistake with Jenkins on the defensive side. So, we'll get to that. Hope some people step on the D side. But, yeah. I'd be all for adding a leader like Jason Peters. So couldn't agree more with you. Now, how do you feel? This is something I was asked the other day. You know, I'm pretty pumped about the safeties we have, but a lot of question marks there. So there's been some talk, but you know how that clickbait works and all that good stuff. So what are your thoughts on Jamal Adams? Is that something realistic? Still, you know, not much of a cap hit this year, but next year I think he costs around like $9 million. So yeah, that's a tough one when you're 51 million rolling over next year for our cap. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, what I want Jamal Adams. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I'll take Jamal Adams in a minute, but you know, what's it cost, and then how much money are we gonna have to pay him, and do we have the money to give to him? So you know, with Jalen Mills back there right now and Rodney McLeod, you know, I think we're gonna have to go to work with what we have. You know, if we're gonna go out, then wait till he hits free agency then. You know, if you want Jamal Adams, wait till he hits the free agency because they give up a first, a third, or a first and a fourth. Not saying it's too much, just saying that when I can get a guy in free agency and not have to give up anything, I should just wait and see. And that doesn't mean I don't want Jamal Adams. It just means I think that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, more realistic. Exactly. And, you know, that was my same answer. It's like, who in their right mind wouldn't want Jamal Adams? I mean, yeah, of course. But realistically, that's an iffy one. But, you know, you talk about the safety room we have here. That's something I'm going to definitely get into. But glad we re-signed Rodney McLeod. You know, he's a leader of this defense. We moved Jalen Mills back to a position where I think he should have played for years now. I think injuries didn't help us, but he's back there. And then, you know, to fill that void we talk about with Jenkins, you have to use three people, you know. So Will Parks, just look at the bottom there. Kayvon Wallace, what a draft pick. So I'm pumped there. I see Devonta Freeman keeps getting mentioned. So, yeah, before you go, I'd definitely like to hear your opinion on Devonta Freeman because the running back room, we obviously love Miles Sanders. The kid's going to be phenomenal in year 2, I believe. So, you know, and with this offense, I think things are going to open up all over, so it's going to make him even better. So cannot wait to see him. But behind him, you know, you like Boston Scott. You know, you want to see the competition between Elijah Holyfield and, you know, the undrafted kid out of Cincinnati, Michael Warren. You know, he's like 5'10", 225, little bruiser. So we like a power back. And then you have Killens, very interesting. And we re-signed Corey Clement, dealing with a lot of injuries. Is his shoulder okay? But if Miles Sanders, God forbid, once again, something happens, what's behind him? Are you feeling comfortable with Boston Scott leading the way? I mean, he did well with that 4-game stretch trying to do things. But, man, I think, in my opinion, I'd be okay with Devonta Freeman. That's the one guy I really like. So what do you think about Devonta Freeman or maybe a LaShawn McCoy, maybe a pass-catching back that can also pass protect, run hard like Buck Allen? Who's someone that intrigues you?
Devonta Freeman intrigues me because he's a home run threat. And listen, when we talked about Boston Scott and Corey Clement, and I know about Palatero talks about Adrian Killens making it squad, and he probably does. But we'll see how that plays out. But again, after Miles Sanders, it's unknown. So when I can go out and get a guy like Devonta Freeman and give my starting running back a guy behind him that's actually started in this league, I think it's a no-brainer. I really do. And I can add more offense, more explosiveness on this offense. And that's what Devonta Freeman is. Now, is he banged up a lot? Yeah, we know he's banged up a lot. But not being a starter, limited carries, limited roles, I think it's a perfect fit for him.
Yep. Then you just hit the nail on the head right there. He's not going to be coming here to be the featured back, and we just hope that Miles stays healthy. So the guy just comes in, and he's going to get, 5 to 8 maybe carries a game. We'll see how things work out. The Eagles are, they're running back by committee, but every week it's different. The bulk of it's going to go to Miles. So we can hope he gets 15 to 18 carries and, just we finally start running the damn ball. So I'm excited for this running back room. You said somebody mentioned Killens. I really like Killens. I'm afraid that, if he goes to the practice squad, someone could take him. I know we're allowed 12 players now, but that's scary when you do that. So does he really wow us in the preseason? Is that a kid that is like, I can't let him go. I can't let this kid, someone snag him from us. So it's going to be interesting to watch. But like you said, that's all questionable. And we have to take everything that we're talking about today, with a grain of salt. We're just trying to bring you guys some entertainment because that's what we do. But it's like, we can see what we've seen on tape. But, when you break stuff down with guys in college, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. You got to put things, in context. Who are they playing? Who's the opponent? What's the down? Are they playing scrubs in this fourth down they're in? You know what I mean? So let's find out what these kids are really doing in the NFL. So I don't try to get too far ahead of myself. I see someone down here mention Lenin Fournette. And see, that's always a possibility. You remember when we traded for Jay Ajayi a few games into the season, that was huge, added him with LeGarrette Blount. So, trades are always possible with Howie. So I'm pumped up, and I think that we will make a move. Now, is it a trade? Give up more draft capital for someone like Leonard Fournette, who's banged up a lot? I'm not sure if that's the route we go for someone that's not going to be our featured back, because I think that's what he would want to be. So I'm not so sure about Leonard Fournette, but I like him. He was phenomenal at LSU. And when he was healthy, he was great, but I'm not so sure that we give up. If we're giving up like a 5th, 6th rounder, sure, why not? What are your thoughts on Leonard Fournette?
No, I like Leonard Fournette, like you already mentioned, banged up a lot, but I'll take Fournette in a heartbeat. But the problem is, like you alluded to, is he willing to come in a more of a backup role? When I talk about a guy like Freeman or some of these other names, they're used to splitting carries. They're used to that kind of role. When a guy who's always been a starter, always been the guy, how does that work? I don't know. I think it's a good name, but I just don't know how it works if a guy's going to come in here and take a backup role, essentially, and how he's going to feel about that. So that's my big question mark when it comes to a guy like Leonard Fournette.
And I agree. And like you said, he's used to being the lead back. Guys like Freeman that were in Kyle Shanahan's offense, they're used to being in that committee. LaShawn McCoy is a name that's brought up. He's used to that. So I agree with you there. Last comment. Boo. Cowboys suck. Go Birds. Booker from Denver. I thought I saw somebody had an article about that the other day. If you're giving up dirt for this guy, sure. If you're giving like a 7th round pick and getting like a 6th round and him in return, maybe I make a trade for Devin Booker, because you're just adding a salary that doesn't matter. If he can come in and compete, sure, but I'd much rather see Elijah Holyfield and, Michael Warren. They're intriguing to me. I like Michael Warren's tape. Elijah Holyfield didn't see much on the Panthers. If you watch his Georgia tape, a few things you like. There's not too much, but that Michael Warren, man, racking up touchdowns. He can actually catch the ball too. Big thing. Okay at pass protection, but these are things these guys got to work on. We got to see him in action. But I'm all for adding a running back into this room, adding depth, something we talked about. So DJ Chark, that's one thing. Some people still question this wide receiver room. One of the biggest question marks heading into this offseason. Everybody's kicking down the door for people like Brashard Perryman. Give me a break. Overrated, overpaid. The guy played on the Bucs offense where they predominantly throw the ball all the time. And you got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So it's opening up for this guy. I'm to keep it real with you. I told people, let's stay patient. We saw Hargrave. We saw the Parks, and then we traded for Slay. It was beautiful. We said, stay patient for the draft. Went ahead. I know we both had mixed reviews on Jalen Reagor, but I'm a huge fan. Got to do lots of film study on him. Really got pumped before the draft, praying that we got him. Oh, we got him. So I'm excited. And then, I talked about, do we double dip? Man, we quadruple dipped. Went got Hightower, Watkins, traded for Goodwin, 20 places back in the 6th round. Love that. Then the undrafted guys, Tate and Manisha Bailey. So I'm really pumped. I don't know if you need someone like DJ Chark, but I know that is a very questionable, position for people, but I don't think so myself. I'm pumped. I think we got speed, and the injuries to those speedsters, we got younger guys behind them, so there's depth. They're going to have to compete. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear it, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like the addition of Jalen Reagor. I think he's a good kid, but the problem is there's still so many unknowns with this wide receiver core. Can Deshaun Jackson stay healthy? Are we going to rely on guys like Hightower and Watkins late in their draft? You can't expect them guys to come in and be impact guys right away. I mean, it takes time. So a lot's on Jalen Reagor as a first-round pick to come in, but a lot's on a guy like Deshaun Jackson, Greg Ward, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside to take a step. He's got to take a step. When you use a second-round pick on a player, he has to take the next step. This is an important year for him, and it's an important year for Howie Roseman for him to get better. But I do like the wide receiving core. Obviously, it's big-time upgraded. It's hard not to be from where we were last year.
Yeah.
But again, there's question marks. And there's question marks with, on every roster with different positions. But I like the additions. I like the upgrades. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and you talked about it. It's hard not to like what you have now when you were riding with guys, Rob Davis, Marcus Green, Deontay Burnett, bringing guys like Shelton Gibson back. Like, it was pretty rough. So, but, you said a lot on Reagor. There will be, because the Eagles fans will definitely put it on him. But I think this will be a good opportunity for him where he's not the exact focal point of this offense. But that also relies on, like you said, people staying healthy. So if Alshon Jeffrey stays healthy, he can help Arcega-Whiteside. If Jackson stays healthy and Goodwin stays healthy, they can help Reagor and the rest of the guys. But the thing is, they have to stay healthy at first, allow them to grow. Just like you said, those guys aren't going to be ready right away, especially with all the stuff going on. So it's like, oh, my God. So I'm not against adding a free agent to any position, to be honest with you, especially someone that would know the system, someone, familiar with somebody that would be able to come in and help these guys. So you're hoping the veterans are talking to these guys, doing what they can. But, I have high hopes for Arcega-Whiteside. I did last year, and you saw him get thrown in the fire. And one of the things a lot of people were calling for his head last year, and one of the things I kept saying week in, week out was Carson Walsh, Mike Groh. I was calling for their heads. I really was. And it was just, you had to put things into context, where the struggles were. And, it was on a lot of things, coaching staff, medical staff. So you look at those things. Someone made a comment. They said that was the biggest change, medical staff, coaching changes. I couldn't agree more. That was huge. Got rid of them. You added some bright mind. Doug Peterson finally kept it real and was like, all right, you know what? I am the offensive coordinator anyway, so offensive coordinator, But then he had Marty Morningway comes back. Rich Scangarello comes in. They added Aaron Moorhead as the wide receiver coach. I love that. Matthew Harper keeps moving up in the ranks, assistant wide receivers coach. I can't wait to see what he does with these guys. So I am pumped, and I think those are huge additions. Talk about the medical staff being changed. We don't know if it's necessarily on those guys, but hey, man, we are making moves at where the problems were. So, and then this guy, he hits it. If you want to talk anything about that topic, wide receiver, you can. But one of the biggest question marks we'll definitely get to in this show is linebacker. So I'd like to hear your thoughts before you go about the linebacker position.
Yeah. Before I leave, I'll leave everybody with this. Uchini Nwasu, and was on with us earlier, and we asked him about Jatavius Brown, a former teammate of his with the LA Chargers, and he talked about his work ethic. He talked about a guy when he's on the field, how he goes 110% with everything he does, and how we got a really good linebacker here not a lot of people know about. So, it was good to hear from a former player and a guy that consider him a really good friend and a great teammate. So I think we got a little bit of a sleeper there that nobody's really talking about because he has had some injury concerns. But listen, man, I mean, Davion Taylor's got to step in and sort of get thrown into the fire early, guys like that. So they're going to have to play. I mean, Nate Gary's going to have to step up. TJ Edwards. I mean, a lot of unknowns there too, but Jatavius Brown obviously be a starter. And I think depending on how this goes, we could see Nigel Bradham back in an Eagles uniform.
Couldn't agree more. And Nigel, that's one of my dudes. I love him, man. I really do. So that's something that, has been a big question mark for me. Do you bring him back? I love Nigel Bradham, but he was a nickel back for us. He definitely played there, a nickel linebacker. So I just would rather have someone a lot better than him. He definitely helps in the run and stuff. But, hey, Palatero, thank you for joining in. Peace out, man. It's going to be tough, that linebacker core, so I definitely think adding veterans would be a great idea. So, yeah, I agree with you. We could definitely see Nigel Bradham back. I know you said you could stay on for a little bit with us. But are you about to roll, though?
Yeah, brother, I'm going to leave it all to you and the family out there. They're rolling with the comments, so we'll keep flashing them up here for you so you continue to talk to them. But love having you. It's a great first 20 minutes. Welcome to A2D. And sky's the limit for us. So everybody out there listening, man, that's my guy over here. And this guy knows his goddamn Eagles football and football period. So soak in the knowledge, people. Soak in the damn knowledge and let's go.
Let's go. Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate everything, brother. Stay safe, man, and I'll talk to you later.
Later, Jimmy.
See you. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Later, brother.
Later.
All right, A2D family. It's just you and I now. Really appreciate Tom coming on today. Awesome to have him. He wanted to help me break it in. I've been doing this for a couple years, man. So it's awesome to get the opportunity to finally step up my game and be able to talk to such a great family like yourselves. I follow A2D myself. I get to see all the awesome stuff they provide. So really, really glad to be a part of it. I saw Banjo, I believe the name. I saw you said something about Jenkins was our best linebacker last year. Correct. That's why we added 3 safeties that are just like Malcolm Jenkins. I'm not saying they are. That's why you had to have 3 of them. Jalen Mills, moving him back. He's one of those guys that can move all around. Will Parks brought him in from free agency. Really excited for him. Philly guy. So I'm pumped to see him. He moves around, can play that linebacker position. So, I'm pumped about that. And also Kayvon Wallace. We're all excited for that. He's another guy who moves around, can play nickel. I'm sure he's going to do a lot of things. So we had to try to replace that, but I couldn't agree more. Huge loss, Malcolm Jenkins, especially when he plays 99% of your defensive snaps and even special teams. Later, Ted, thanks for tuning in, brother. I saw some names like Alec Ogletree. I like him. Mark Barron, Duron Lee, a veteran that could come in. Maybe bring Michael Kendricks back. I don't know. But, bring some of these guys in and let them help these young guys, because that is the biggest question mark for me. That was one I definitely wanted to get to. Always wearing them bright colors, brother. So, what's going on? All about the Birds, my man. Nice to see you, dude. Doing my thing. Happy to be here for my first show. Thank you to everybody that is tuning in. They're going to keep hitting these questions. Unlike you guys that follow me for my show, I usually run that stuff, everything. So this is cool. Get to sit back. I'm going to try to see everything I can. If I miss it, you can ask again. I'll try to. They're going to hit me with all this stuff, and we'll keep riding, man. So we're going to go through. We're going to break down this Eagles roster as it stands. And trust me, I know we haven't seen anything. Right now, we're stuck with what we've seen on paper, what we have added, which you can take a lot from, but it is what it is. Danny Trevathan, that's a reasonable guy that I would definitely take on. I had a segment the other day where I talked about, a lot of the free agents available, and he was a name that came up. So, yeah, there's definitely some guys that don't need to come in and just be that starter, but we need a nickel guy. I think, TJ Edwards, undrafted free agent. I talked about him so much last year. A guy to watch. Adam Kaplan even, had a little problem with me, saying stuff. We talked about the linebacker. It was very questionable last year. The Eagles just don't seem to want to put an emphasis on that. I couldn't agree more with that. 3 safety sets. I talk about that all the time. Having multiple safeties. Jim Schwartz is chomping at the bit with these defensive players. Man, I can't wait to talk about the D with you guys, because he's finally got some players if they stay healthy. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Signed Eddie Jackson. Oh, Eddie Jackson, man. The guy's a playmaker, a ball hawk. I like the guy. big hitter. I would take someone like him, sure. But I'm intrigued to see what we have from the safeties. I know there's guys like Rashad Jones still out there. Tavon Wilson was another one, played with Slay in Detroit. So maybe add him. They add some leadership to the defense. That's a big question. Where's the leadership going to come from? You saw the question earlier about, Malcolm Jenkins. And, I talked about adding 3 safeties. Well, you'll probably see 3 of those guys, like someone just mentioned, at the same time. It's going to be awesome. I really think that it's going to be a revamped D. You got yourself number 1 cornerback finally. You talk about the defensive line getting stacked up. We added some pieces. Now, that's another question mark we're going to talk about. Edge rushers. That's how you get them trophies. We're predominantly nickel, and we depend on that 4-man rush. So I know things are going to get easier adding someone like Javon Hargrave, having Malik Jackson back. So see what happens there. We'll get one more edge. Exactly. And that's one thing I've talked about. And you can add a couple cheap guys, Jamal Sheard, Everson Griffin, for less than someone like Jadeveon Clowney. Not a fan of his after he hit my quarterback, but I understand. I'm trying to win the Super Bowl. So if we would add him, I wouldn't lose my mind. Everson Griffin, exactly. I love Everson Griffin. That would probably be the top name I would go for. I think that guy he's just really overlooked. They've got Hunter over there, and it's understandable. He's good too, but yeah, I would definitely add Everson Griffin to this line. That's something I've talked about and we're going to talk about. So, the time is ours here. I'm going to keep trying to hit up the questions. You can ask them as we go. I'll just try to start from the offense and keep going. But if you say something, I'll happily just try to keep answering your questions. But why don't we start with the offense? We'll start with the poll question. You go ahead and hit that poll question. It is an agree to disagree here. So whether you agree or disagree with it, Jason Peters, we got Tom's opinion. We talked about it a little bit, so I'd like to see your guys' thoughts on Jason Peters because, we all love JP. He is the bodyguard, but, he's getting up there in age. And we understood last year that when Andre Dillard was drafted in the first round, we traded up for him, that he was to be the left tackle of the future. So no excuses. I don't want to hear anything. So if this guy can't beat out a 38-year-old left tackle, man, he doesn't deserve to be the starting left tackle. We need someone that's going to protect Carson. So I'm all for adding Jason Peters back. I think JP is, still one of the top left tackles in the game. So I think that, you definitely should add competition there. We talked about people getting injured. So even if Dillard does beat him out, at least you have that guy behind him. You have a leader in the locker. I missed what the Cowboys fans said. I just went to look. Make Dillard earn his job. John, couldn't agree more with you, man. Earn your damn job. And, with such little time now, clock's ticking. We need every state to open up, everybody to be good with it before we can actually jump into action here. So it's been tough, man, sitting back here waiting for it. But, it is what it is. But I agree. You got to make Andre Dillard. And I believe in the kid. I do. And I hope right now he's working out, getting tough and doing his things that, that was the big thing, is his toughness. So he was another one thrown into the fire. So it's very questionable. We talked about drafting Prince Tega Winogo. We talked about Jack Driscoll. Matt Pryor's there. Is Jordan Mailata going to step it up? Casey Tucker was brought back. Sharif Miller punched him in the face last year, and then he was cut and never heard of again. Went to the Lions, played guard there. Going to come back, maybe help the tackle room. Highly doubt it. So, Dillard needs to get stronger. Exactly. So his toughness. Work on that, and I think we'll be good, man. Predominantly pass the ball in college, so you can't expect him to come in and just be ready that first year. I think people read too much into it. Right tackle, never played it when he played there. So let's just take it easy on him. Let's believe in him. He is Eagles family, okay? What's going on, Ryan? Thank you, brother. I'm really happy to be here, man. I'm seriously pumped, so let's go. Pumped. Yep, and exactly. Dillard, get stronger, man. Be hitting the weight room, buddy, and get better at run blocking, because we're going to run that ball more. We got Miles Sanders. He's going to be big in year 2. So I can't wait to see it. And, John, That's something I've been harping on for a while. How could you be mad about competition? And it's like kind of the same thing, but here's the thing. I'm pissed about Jalen Hurts. Like I was pissed at the moment a lot more. Like in that moment I was. But if you look at it, it's like, all right, well, there's death behind him. So how can you be mad about competition? So, I mean, Hurts isn't going to compete. So that's what kind of is stupid. I think the kid is really good. So that's what pissed me off. I thought he was going to go somewhere and have a chance to start. It really shocked me, sent shockwaves through me. I was just like, wait, what? A lot of starting caliber players, and we went with the quarterback. Trust me, I was very, very shocked. The draft, it threw me off, man. It did. So this offseason was important, but I think people read into too many things that they didn't realize. A lot of guys are coming back from injury. That was very huge for us last year. Now, sure, we lost a lot of big pieces, but I thought we did really well when it comes to free agency. I didn't want, we talked briefly about that earlier. I didn't want to rush into things, so I thought we took it the pace we needed to, added people at positions we needed to, the depth we needed. We'll talk about that. And then we went into the draft, and I, like I said, was shocked about the second round pick, but in the long run, I was really excited about it. Overall, we added a lot of talent in places we needed, and there was a lot of speed. I just saw the comment there, Kelvin Beachum, old giant, a little washed up, but whatever. You're bringing in a vet, but why not, when you have $23.5 million, bring back JP, somebody that's way better than Beachum, that's going to push Dillard to be better. Lyle Collins, another one. Sure, why not? Cowboy, but bring him in. Push Sayamalu and Dillard. It doesn't matter. But like I said, I'd rather have someone that knows the system, someone that's a leader already in this locker room. People would obviously take him back with open arms. So I think, the left tackle position is definitely a question mark. But other than that, we talked about where we added depth. I'm really excited. It was questionable there. I like people like Keegan Render. I like Nate Erbig. Guys that can play guard and center. You bring in guys like Driscoll, who actually said that he was on his Instagram that he was learning the center position in this downtime. So that's awesome. You love people with versatility. I just saw the swing tackle. Man, that's a good question. I don't know if Mailata comes in and takes that. Matt Pryor, maybe. I'd like to see one of those guys definitely step it up. I liked Pryor heading into that draft. Glad we got him at the end there. So, we'll see. We'll definitely see. But I like what we did, adding Driscoll, Julian Good-Jones, an undrafted free agent. So we got some guys. Sua Opeta is back, I believe, as well. So, we've got competition there. Obviously, we love Jason Kelsey. Some people, like myself, thought maybe that second-round pick could have been Cushenberry from LSU. We did not go that route. So, hey, maybe Erbig or Render steps it up. Who knows what happens this year? But we have another year with him. Let's hope, he lets us know, and maybe he'll give us a year to play, and give us time to draft someone, which makes it tough to find young talent. What's that? Makes it tough to find talent. All contracts we sign from here. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's something we talked about with these free agents. A lot of these guys, they're gonna have to understand, and they're not gonna have featured roles, most of them. So as an edge rusher, you'll have an impact because you're going to come in at times that matters. So I think they will, but a lot of these guys are going to have to take 1-year deals. So some of them are looking for big money. I don't think, a lot of these guys want to have to prove it. So yeah, I agree with you. It's going to make it real hard to convince these guys. We saw last week that we made an offer, that was reported that we made an offer to Devonta Freeman. And, he said, I want more money. And if they're not going to pay me what I think I'm worth, then I'll sit out. It's like, okay, dude. Well, you missed like 18 games the last few years. So whatever. I question, him saying that, but it's like, if he doesn't take this offer, we're not going to offer him another one. In my opinion, which player is more of a necessity to step up? Dillard. Ooh, great question. Man, because they're all very, 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 very important questions that we're definitely going to hit on. So, Andre Dillard, we talk about left tackle being one of the most important positions other than quarterback. So bring in JP, push him to win that. If not, have him behind him. Sidney Jones, I love him. I really, hope that he pans out, man. What a steal. Obviously got hurt. So, he looked good at the end of the year. Hope that he takes, and right, like this person says here, we need him to step it up. Of course we do. Yes. How awesome would it be if he panned out like he was at Washington? If he came in and started number 2 next to Darius Slay. Now, in Jim Schwartz's defense, I don't really care. He called him someone number 1, number 2. Now, Darius Slay will be your number 1. I love that. But everybody else, woo-hoo-hoo, baby. We got some guys that are going to compete. Mikel Roby-Coleman brought in to push Gervon LeBlanc. Devontae Maddox will go inside, outside. He can play all over the place, too. One of those versatile guys who cannot wait to see what Jim Schwartz does with his defense. But, yes, to touch on Sidney Jones, I really hope he steps it up. How awesome would that be to have a kid that was, a top 10 potential cornerback going into that draft, gets hurt, falls to the second round to us. So that'd be great. I agree with you. And then the other name you mentioned, Derek Burnett. I talk about edge rusher. That being one of the most important positions on the field, because that's how you win that damn Super Bowl, get to that quarterback. And, it took us till the end of the Super Bowl to get to Tom Brady, but what a glorious play that was. And, Derek Barnett partook in that. And I had a video a couple weeks ago comparing Barnett's numbers to Jadeveon Clowney. Not too far off, to be honest with you. So people are, I think, a little extra hard when it comes down to Jadeveon Clowney, but and Derek Barnett, and I think they get a little misconstrued with. And I understand that Jadeveon Clowney gets double teamed more and all that good stuff, but and numbers don't. Take everything with a grain of salt. But I just don't think he's worth major money when you can get someone else that could help this edge rushing room. But I really like what we have behind that. It's just people got to stay healthy, and then they got to step it up a little more. I don't like where they were, but I have hope for them. So that's why I said I'd be all for adding someone like Griffin. Second will be Dillard. We could survive without Barnett. Yeah, I think there's some guys like Sweat, Avery, Miller that need to step it up. So we'll see what we got there. But, yeah, Dillard definitely probably out of the 3 of them, Dillard needs to step it up the most, man, because Doug Peterson, he's relying on him to be the future. And, dude, I'm going to be real with you. That was the guy. I had one mock draft that year, and I picked Andre Dillard. That's who I thought we'd take, and that's who we took, man. And I'm pumped that I think that Stoutland and Peters did work on him, and he's going to toughen up, but I'm all for adding competition. So bring him back. If Wallace ends up being awesome, we can move. Here's my opinion on things. I talked about this when Mills was playing corner. And when I started doing this a couple years ago, this was like my main topic. Jalen Mills needed to be used correctly, and he'd be really good, which he did. Played Julio Jones great in the red zone. He's great in the red zone, but not in open field, man. Not in open field. So I don't think he moves back to corner, but he can play that same versatile position. So someone had mentioned earlier, you're going to see some of these guys on the field at the same time. Yes, you will. So I think hopefully Kayvon by the middle of the year could be a starter. But Will Parks, Jalen Mills, both of them could push him, for the starter time. But it's like the other guy could be playing in another situation. So Jim Schwartz is going to have his heyday, moving these guys around. So I'm really pumped. If I could, would I trade Sidney? I don't think so, man. Because, well, Sidney, I don't think so. Because I don't want to give up on him yet, and I don't think you're going to get much for him. So I wouldn't do that. Barnett, you're not going to get much for him either. But maybe you could get more. He's had some production. So if there was anyone, I would, maybe him, but that would be if you're packaging, getting someone like Yannick Ngakoue or something. I'd be okay with that. But, yeah, I like him. Keeping pressure on quarterbacks keeps him uncomfortable in that pocket. Makes bad play. Yeah, exactly. And, we don't blitz. So, obviously having someone like Darius Slay is going to make it a lot easier because we're actually covering people, giving them a little bit more time to get there, because it was the opposite last year. It's like, please, God, get to them before these cornerbacks get toasted. Safety's getting toasted. Well, Michael Jenkins is, like someone said, he's playing nickel. He's playing, you saw in the Super Bowl, I think one of the things that helped us, he actually didn't line up against Rob Gronkowski. We actually used our corners. Mills, I like, he's a safety now. Darby, I did not like that at all. But you saw him handling the running backs and stuff. So, I don't know, man. There's tough questions, though. I missed the last one there. Sorry about that. Do I think Miles Sanders? I think Miles Sanders could have a great year. I think, when it comes to like fantasy, I think he could be one of the top, he's going to be catching the ball, running the ball. When it comes to like leading the league, I don't know necessarily if he'll do that just because we have such a pass-heavy offense. But I think we will run the ball more, and I think he'll get his chance, to break 1,000 yards. I think we'll definitely feed him the ball. I think he's going to have a huge year, man. He's great catching out of the backfield. Looked like he was working on his pass protection, had some good hits. So I think he's going to have a huge offense. Stay healthy, and I think the sky is the limit for him, man. I really do. Do I want Malcolm Jenkins? Like, no, man. He's a Saint now, so it is what it is. I don't ever try to look in the past. We got a lot of talented guys. Obviously, it took 3 of them to try to fill the void, but I'm excited to see what Jim does with them, to try to fill that void. And I know Malcolm Jenkins was getting up in age, but obviously he was doing great, just fine for us. So it hurts. I'm not saying I wanted that to happen, but it happened. So I'm not going to sit and harp over it. I look forward to facing him, and I do not like the Saints, so it'll be game time. But I do love the fact that he was there, working out with Rodney and I think Jalen and, all the guys. And I did love that. Will Parks, so he's still helping us out. He was such a good dude in the community, everything. I love what he does there. But when it comes to Eagles football and all that, man, it is what it is now. It's over, and I have faith in this, with the safeties we have to step it up. But like I said, I would be for adding, some competition there. I'm not against it. Thank you, James. I appreciate that, man. Seriously, I appreciate all you guys that tuned in. Like this is awesome. I was freaking out the entire day getting ready for this. I'm like, oh my Lord. Like, remember just like a week ago talking about this. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm about to go on. Like these shows are awesome. So now I'll be here every Friday, 7:00. Thank you so much, James, for the welcoming. Thank you everyone else that welcomed me, especially if I missed it. I apologize. Trying to keep up with this stuff, but we'll be here every Friday. I'll definitely try to bring some of these other guys as I meet them and stuff. We'll try to converse and do that, so you don't just have to listen to me. But I'll do what I can to keep riding with you. When Mills played that Jenkins role, looked like a stud. Yeah, and that's something I talked about. And I talked about it over and over again for the last few years. I don't care what you want to call him, quarterback, safety, nickel, linebacker, joker. Dude, I don't care what you call him. I don't, because people wanted to. It's like, dude, just use him correctly. But you see all the injuries. Who else were you using? Craig James? No, you're not. So you had to bear with it, man. You did. Do I think Jalen Hurts plays? I don't think Jalen Hurts plays in any. And if he does play in any game, it'll be later in the year. And I think that would be sparingly. But this is a team that ran the Philly special, and I think they're trying to get back to some creative stuff. So once he gets the plays down, once he starts, getting things under his belt, I don't know if you're necessarily – I've seen the Taysom Hill talk. I've seen all that. I don't think you take a rookie, and Taysom Hill's like 28 years old. I don't think you – he's a lot tougher. He's been in the league. He's taking hits. He plays on special teams. This kid's been playing quarterback, I don't think you run him on a slant and watch him get his, lights knocked out when you just spent second-round pick 53 on him. So, no, I don't think so. Carson Wentz is going to have another full regular season. Hopefully no cheap shots in the playoffs. So I think he's going to get to learn from one of the greatest. And I think, that's one of the topics I'm definitely going to get to. But, the quarterbacks, we can go into that. We talked about the line. Now we'll talk about the quarterback. Jalen Hurts, that pick. I heard about 10 minutes before the pick was made. And I was like, no, that's not actually happening. Like, I refuse. I was like, nah, that, we'll see from the actual report. And it came, and I was like, wow, they actually picked him. I was pissed. I was actually really pissed. I was pissed, but it is what it is. And we got him, and now we have a really good backup quarterback who's a good locker room guy. He's been the backup. He's been a leader, knows how to work with the other quarterbacks. So maybe one day he'll become trade bait. So I look forward to that. If I could trade for one guy, who would it be? Yannick or Jamal Adams? Now, Jamal Adams is going to cost one hefty price tag this year. He's like literally under $1 million, like almost 900 on the cap. So that'd be great. But next year he costs about like $9 million, I believe. So it's like, ooh, don't know if we'd be able to work that out. I know how he's a magician, but I don't know if we could work that out. I mean, I'd take Jamal Adams. If I could pick one, I'd take him. But I also want a pass rusher. So would I give up Burnett for him? Probably. He hasn't produced, for a guy that beat Reggie White's sack record at Tennessee, you'd expect a lot more. But you haven't seen what you wanted to, and he hasn't stayed healthy. And when he has, it's like, has he hit his ceiling? So that's a tough question, Ryan. It really, really is. I like Yannick, and I thought, if that happened, I'd be for it. But I didn't want to give up our first round pick this year because I thought we'd use it on a receiver. Glad we did. But if I had to pick between the two, I'm taking Jamal Adams for sure. Now, we were talking about the quarterback, Carson Wentz. Love the man. Is this the year people finally get to stick a sock in it, man? I mean, because honestly, we know what we see. Like, this kid's phenomenal. And someone asked about Jalen Hurts coming in, and I've seen people like, oh, use him in the red zone. Like, oh, yeah. Okay. Carson Wentz has thrown since, I believe it was like 2016, 2017. He's thrown for, I believe, 72 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Last year, 21 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Yeah, that's pretty good in the red zone. I don't think that, I don't think you want to take that out. So I think we're finally going to see Carson Wentz step into that because of the weapons we added for him. He needed weapons, man. But we saw how great he did, first quarterback, throw over 4,000 yards without a, receiver over 500 yards. That's pretty amazing. And then you'll hear people, you have Zach Ertz and Goddard, and Miles Sanders, you had good running backs and tight ends. It's like, well, yeah. No, we know that. But so did the other defenses. And then they just key on those good players. And then we rely on these terrible receivers that do absolutely nothing for us. So we're left with absolutely nothing. It was hard. It's hard to watch, but it was phenomenal to watch Carson Wentz, and to do what he did, going into the red zone, balling out. We had those games at the end of the year, taking out 3 divisional opponents, dude, just not having turnovers. Just, oh my God, it was beautiful to see, and other guys stepped it up too. We got to see what we had in Boston Scott and Greg Ward and a lot of guys. So it was, oh my God, it was a revolving door at every position. It felt like, it was pretty rough last year. I'm not going to lie to you. I think fans will call for Hurts. Well, John, that was one of the first thoughts in my mind. Why, Howie? Why would you do this? Why? Because people are going to be calling for Carson's head. The first incompletion, the first interception is going to be Jalen Hurts. You already had those people, and you had those people because they were already still holding on to Nick Foles. And, I try to explain those people because one thing you're going to learn about me is I was one of those people. I started doing this because I was fighting for my life, and I needed to believe in something. I needed to do something. So I started doing the Eagle stuff. My birds. That year, we fought. And just so happened, my first year doing it, Carson Wentz gets hurt. Nick Foles come in. We talk about perseverance. We persevered, baby. And, people were, Nick Foles sucks. Try to tell him, before the year that he was a perfect backup. Then he came in, told Mike Missinelli, told them all. He's going to win that Super Bowl, man. He wins the Super Bowl, man. He wins the Super Bowl, and it was phenomenal. But then those same people that were telling you Nick Foles sucked, now they feel guilty about the fact that they were not a part of something so special and didn't believe in something so special. And it's all right to have your doubts. There are some people getting a little too ridiculous with things. You know what I'm talking about, the straight hate for Nick. And I was like, come on, baby. Well, then those people are now the biggest diehards. Carson Wentz didn't do it. It's like, no, yeah, he was only dominating the NFL. I mean, we only ran out of fireworks because we scored over 50 points against the Broncos that year when that was the D that was going to show us, right? Right? Keep to lead. Chris Harris, they were going to show us. Yeah, you really showed us, didn't you? We were on the road to victory, baby, and nothing was going to stop us. And, Carson Wentz is a phenomenal man, and I love him. I think he does great things off the field, but on the field, I think he's finally going to show people that he is one of the top quarterbacks. You talk about adding a track team at wide receiver. Yeah, that's correct, baby. So we're going to hit up those wide receivers in a second here. Teams playing signal high. Exactly, man. It's night time. And I know a lot of people have question marks, but You have a guy like Carson Wentz. Keep in mind, he made guys like we saw last year better. He made those guys better. I have much more hope in these guys being better. Now, a lot of the question marks are these guys going to stay healthy at wide receiver? So, scary. You went ahead and added so much depth. We got 14 wide receivers right now, that are competing. So, you're not going to stay healthy, man. And that's another question mark. Is Alshon Jeffrey actually going to be healthy to start the season? Does he go on PUP, actually save us, 6 to 9 weeks where we can actually see one of these younger guys produce? We'll see, man. How many wide receivers do we keep? How can you call Wentz elite or make him top 5 without 0 playoff experience? Well, he doesn't have 0 playoff experience because he did play for a little, last year, but he did get cheap shot and knocked out. I didn't say he was elite. I said I think he's going to finally get put into that category, but I believe he's elite. I just think he's going to show everyone else. His numbers are elite. You talk about all kinds of the numbers, the turnover ratio. I know he has turnovers a lot outside of the red zone, but just, he's a really, really phenomenal quarterback. And I understand people are pissed, but there's no debate when it comes between him and Nick Foles. And, Dak Prescott's not the worst quarterback in the world, but he's better than him too. Jalen Hurts pick was one of the most shocking moments. No, for real. And I was on a live stream, and it wasn't mine. So I was just like, okay, all right, man. I'm going to just keep her in here. I'm not going to – I wanted to snap. I was like, no, because I was like, there's Christian Fulton there. They get linebacker from Wyoming. There's Wilson. There were so many, Cushionberry. It was very shocking. Danny Watkins shot me too, though. There's been some shockers, man. That was definitely a big one for me. A kid from LSU instead of Hurts. Cushionberry, yeah, that was one of the names I said that day and just was talking about. I thought that would be perfect. He's a lot bigger than Kelsey, but I thought we'd be just fine. I think he could move enough to definitely run some of the same stuff we do, but I liked him. So it is what it is, man. Teo here says no to Jason Peters. Now, the reason I'm all for adding him is you have $23.5 million. I think he come back, get his money's worth. We should definitely pay him. But I don't think it's a bad thing. There's no bad that comes from that. Adds depth, adds a veteran to that locker room. And if Dillard isn't ready, well, then you have somebody who is. Sure, we're going to get ourselves a false start penalty every week. But, the guy's still one of the premier left tackles in the league. So, I don't know, man. I think that I would have to agree with signing him. But, hey, man, it's all right to disagree with that. That's what this is all about, man. Don't expect the linebacking core to step up. Less pressure in the corners. There's going to be less pressure on them, less pressure on the corners. I think the line has improved. I think these guys need to all help each other. And, we've gotten by with a lot less. So, yeah, they could be all right going into this, but we talked about some of those names at linebacker, So I think, we could definitely add some free agents and definitely try to push these guys because they're all very young and there's definitely a lot of growing to be had. You look at the guys last year, TJ Edwards, great against the run, needs help, though, in pass coverage. Nate Gary, great against pass coverage, needs help in the run. Will Deshaun be worth it this year? Yeah, he will because we already gave him guaranteed money, man. So it is what it is with him. Hopefully he is able to teach these guys that are behind him, hopefully him and Goodwin, the speed receivers, they can come in. And I'm really pumped. I'm obviously a huge fan of Deshaun Jackson, the old Deshaun Jackson. This is going to be his 13th season, though. So I was pumped last year. I actually messaged him on Twitter last year that day that he was traded and was like, hey, man, it'd be awesome if he came back to the Eagles. And a few hours later, he got traded. And I was just like, freaking out, messaged him. And I was like, dude, please do an interview with me. And never heard from him, but I don't care, man. That was somebody I wanted 13 years ago as a young man. And I freaked out this year, almost the same for Jalen Reagor. That's how excited I was about, just to give you an idea of that. We'll talk about him. But I think Deshaun will be worth it if he can teach them and if he can hopefully stay healthy, man. But that's a big if. I just hope he does, man. I really do. It's a scary situation when you have guys, Jeffrey, Jackson, Goodwin, all injury prone. So it's like, dear God. You don't know if Greg Ward can stay healthy a whole season. You don't know if he's going to be able to beat these guys out. Loved what I saw from him last year in preseason. Thought he should have been kept over Hollins, but it is what it is. Michael, what's going on, brother? Can't wait to actually meet you guys other than just in comments, but I love the fact that you guys are joining in. Like, man, I feel very welcomed to the family. So thank you, brother. Thank you for tuning in. I can't wait to do this every single Friday, man. I am pumped. I am low-key nervous. Watkins are terrible. Yeah, that's a big one for me, John. I really like Watkins. I like Hightower. Both slim guys, but if they could bulk out, what if they sneak in and become that X receiver rather than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? They're both in the 4.3 speed. Watkins is 6 foot. John Hightower is 6'2". So yeah, I'm scared if they go to the practice squad, they get nabbed. One of my first videos I made after the draft was, who does Jeffrey go on the pup list so we can give another one of these guys a chance to not get taken off the practice squad, because they definitely go there. But I hope that they make the active roster too. But it's like, do we keep 6? Do we keep 7? I understand, with the new CBA, you have 12 practice squad players now. That's awesome. But you can bring 2 of them up now on game day. And it goes from 53-man roster to a 55-man roster. One of those guys has to be an offensive lineman, but 48 can suit up, where it used to be 46. But hey, man, maybe we play that game. But I don't know, man. I don't think they're safe. I really don't. So I hope they step it up in camp and really push, these guys. But that's a great thing about receiver, and that's where I'm going to head next. Who would I like? Well, Carlos Hyde went to the Seahawks, man. So it'd be down to Freeman and McCoy. And Freeman was the name I went with first. It's not that I don't like McCoy, but I've been, what I've been saying is, he's kind of the same thing as Miles Sanders, and I think Miles Sanders has improved on the dancing aspect. I don't think he's necessarily what Shady was yet back then, but I think he could be better. But it gives you the same kind of guy. I think Freeman works well in our zone run scheme where he can run through the tackles, and he can really, more of a, he's one of the better, actually, people don't really think that, but he's actually one of the better short yardage backs in the game. So if he stays healthy and you're using him sparingly, I'm all for adding Devonta Freeman. Now we'll see how he acts when it comes down to whatever the hell this contract actually was. So I don't know, man, but if we don't get Freeman, then maybe you go to a guy like LaShawn McCoy, and he knows the system, bring him back. But one of the names I've talked about is Buck Allen. Buck Allen, he can actually pass protect, he can catch the ball, run the ball. So he would add multiple facets to the game that I like, adds that versatility that we need. We already have some of those other things in other people. So, but yeah, Devonta Freeman, that is the name for me if I'm going to have to pick one. So, yeah. But yeah, Carlos Hyde went to the Seahawks, I do believe. So now we talked about the running backs, and I'm all for adding competition there because, I do like Michael Warren. I think that kid is going to really push Elijah Holyfield, and Corey Clement kind of in the same mix there. He's not necessarily a power back, but he's going to have to compete with these guys. So how many running backs do you keep? Do you keep 4? Do you keep 5? Because it's going to be tough competition. So I would add someone, Devonta Freeman. I'm not paying him more than a few mil, though. So I think that's what he's pissed off about, Zach. He wants to be paid. Maybe he's still thinking he's a featured back, even though he's never been really used as a featured back. He had Tevin Coleman behind him, and then he had the guys last year, Ish Smith. So it's just like, you got to put things into context and look at it. It's like we may want him, but maybe he doesn't want to be here. Maybe he's asking for more money. So who do I think the best running back in the division is? Let's see. Ezekiel. I would say Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is one of the better backs in the league, but obviously Ezekiel Elliott's up there too. That's a close one, man. That's like almost a 1 and 2. They're definitely, I'm not ashamed to admit, I dislike the Giants and Cowboys with all my heart and soul. But no, I'm not ashamed to admit and talk some real football, man. They are 2 of the best, and luckily, now I can't say the same for last year and the past couple of years necessarily, but some injuries have played their part. But we've been great at stopping the run. Zeke's had his time with us. Barkley did once, but I think we handle these guys. But yeah, they're pretty damn good. Guys you definitely want to look for if you're playing fantasy football. But I think Miles Sanders is going to give them a run for their money. I love the friendship between him and Saquon. Penn State, man. Sucked to see Saquon go to the Giants, but it is what it is. Love to see Miles. And then, you hope that Darius Guy stays healthy. I never want to see anybody hurt. So we could have one of the best, divisions of running backs in the league, pretty talented. But I'm excited for Miles. I think he's going to have one of the top years. He's going to run the ball, catch the ball, do it all, baby. So I am super excited. But the guys behind him, we talked about when Tom was here. It's a big question mark. What if? And you don't want to talk like this, but that's what we're doing. We're talking about it. We hope that it doesn't happen. What if something happens, though? You relying on Boston Scott, and who's making the team? Is it Corey Clement? I love the guys with their roles now, but do I trust them? I don't. So Devonta Freeman would be somebody I'd be all for. But I like Michael Warren, and I like Elijah Holyfield, and I can't wait to actually see these guys get on the grass, actually compete, and then I'll be able to make a better judgment. But for now, show them what, this Corona sucks, this is horrible, but, being stuck in it gave me time to really go hard on the draft and really look at some things, and I'm really excited, from what I do see on paper. Slay is going to find out real fast. Yeah, he is, and he's tasted it, man. He's played us. He got to play us last year. So Darius Slay has locked down some of the best in the league. That was one of the videos I made not long ago. He shut down the best of them. And your boy, Amari Cooper, you should definitely be afraid of that because he shuts him down, hoping that Sidney Jones steps it up and can shut down CD. And we'll see. I think this defense is going to do great. So pumped about that. Which new Eagles acquisition are you most looking forward to seeing? Slay is, a guy I've been harping for years. When I was able to play Madden a lot, that was somebody I always used. I always loved Big Play Slay. I don't know. I just think he's so underrated. I follow him on Twitter. I didn't see the other names you said. I did see Rieger. That was my Goodwin. I love Goodwin, and I love his story. It hurts. I love it. Goodwin's got a great story, man. Tragic tale, but, what perseverance that guy's had. So I'm hoping the best for him, especially he's got Olympic speed, so he could really help this team. So I'm excited for that, and it only cost us moving back from 190 to 210 there at the 6th round, so it didn't bother me much. And then, with that pick, we took like Prince Tega Winogo, so I thought that was a steal. But Rieger, Jalen Rieger. I love Kayvon Wallace. I do. I love Darius Slay. I think they're going to have huge impacts. I think Darius Slay is going to have the biggest impact here. But Jalen Rieger, that is somebody I know a lot of people were very questionable about, man. They were very, they just didn't know. They wanted Justin Jefferson. Now, I chose to talk about Justin Jefferson in the offseason. There was a couple of receivers, but he was somebody I liked a lot too. So it's not necessarily that I didn't like him. But, I write for 4th and John, and I was talking about – they asked if I would do a video and, do my first video. And I was like, oh, sweet, thanks, for asking. Like, pick a receiver that you'd like to talk about. So I got to pick one, and I went ahead, and I was like, all right, who's the most realistic? Who I think the Eagles will go ahead. And then Jalen Rieger was the guy. I got to study him a lot. I really just felt like he was that guy, the Tyreek Hill of our offense. I'm not comparing him to Tyreek Hill. I think he is more of a young Steve Smith that could grow into that Steve Smith mold. But he's going to be that Tyreek Hill, that how Andy Reid uses him, what Deshaun Jackson was supposed to be for us. So it's going to give Wentz an amazing weapon. So I got to make that video, broke down his tape, talked about, the concentration drops. A lot of, he had a 30.7 on ball target percentage, passes thrown to him. That's third worst in college football. He had a, rookie quarterback, freshman, Max Dugan, played with 7 different quarterbacks, had a down year, his junior year, his last year. And I just, I think people aren't putting things into context. I think this kid in this offense, not the focal point right away. He's going to be the Z receiver, going to move him in motion. You can run the ball with him, return the ball. I think he's going to be phenomenal. So watch out. I don't think he's necessarily going to win Rookie of the Year because we can spread it around so much, but I think he is going to be a superstar for us. Truly. I think he could break Harold Carmichael's record, if Deshaun and Ertz don't break it first. But, I really believe in this kid. I do. So I'm pumped about him, dude. I think it's going to be a huge pick. I feel the burn. Would you trade Wentz? Really? That's a wild question, but no. I love Wentz and I love Miles, and I think they're 2 of the top at their position. So, no, I'm not giving 2 of their top for 1 of the top. And Mahomes is phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but I love my guys, man. Overrated picks. John says Jalen Rieger. Now, I understand that, and you're not alone in that thinking, John. There were plenty of people who did not like that Jalen Rieger pick. Obviously, I was biased to it because that was who I wanted. And honestly, it took almost 13 years to feel some way about a player where I was like, this is that guy that's going to change this offense how we need. I knew that was what Andy needed, Deshaun Jackson and McNabb. But obviously, that only worked for a couple of years until we got rid of McNabb to the Redskins. Anyways, I think he's going to be phenomenal. I understand people are upset, but watch the tape, man. Watch my breakdown, even on YouTube that I talk about it, man. Dude, I'm telling you, he's gonna be phenomenal. Like, I'm beyond excited for this kid. I think he's gonna do great things. Like, really do. He does great on all three levels. I really think that if you watch his hips, he's really good loose hips. His double cuts, his double moves, everything. Way how he cuts out of his breaks. Whoo! He's phenomenal. He's got to work on. Obviously, he's not your X receiver, though. Okay, he's not lining up on the line of scrimmage here, dealing with press and stuff. He's your Z. He's lined up a few yards off the line of scrimmage. He's moving in motion, maybe. And we talk about how the Eagles run trio sets. We do this. We're going to find ways to get him the ball in space. You know how the Eagles are. He's going to return the ball. We talked about run the ball. So I'm really pumped. Which NFC East team do I think is going to be the biggest problem? I'd probably have to say the Cowboys again. Now, we'll see. If they had Andy Dalton in, I think he could do well in that offense, just as good as Dak Prescott, almost. So we'll see what happens there. But, they've got one of the top running backs. They added CeeDee Lamb. They did good in the draft. Bradley and I was one of the names I liked as an edge rusher that I hoped we could get at the end of the draft. But they picked him up. They had themselves a good draft. So I don't care, though. I don't. I take everything with a grain of salt. You don't win free agency in the draft and necessarily just win the season and the Super Bowl. So it takes a lot more than that. But I think they'll give the biggest problem. I'm not necessarily saying the Giants are horrible, but Daniel Jones working on some things. They've got a whole plethora of things happening. DeAndre Baker, all kinds of stuff. So we'll see what happens with them. But and then Dwayne Haskins, with the Redskins, and also the Cowboys, they have a new coach, so I'm intrigued. But I like Mike McCarthy as a coach. I think he could definitely help them be a good team. So then you talk about Ron Rivera with the Redskins. I'm intrigued. He's going to use Dwayne Haskins there. He brought Kyle Allen over from the Panthers. So intrigued to see who the quarterback is. And they've got Scary Terry there. They've got some weapons. So we'll see. But I think if anyone, it would probably be the Cowboys. And then, you got Gallup too. Cover two, man. I don't know if we necessarily want to do that, but that's the thing. This is going to be a much more versatile defense. You're going to see a lot of sub packages, but like you said, here talk about cover man or cover two. Honestly, I don't know if we rely on any of these guys to play man. We're predominantly playing in nickel and zone. We like to try to get to the quarterback with our rush, so we can have more people with our 4-man rush, and we can have more people drop back. So we talked about the linebackers. We need to step it up and help. It's going to take a team effort. They've definitely got some receivers. It's going to be very intriguing, but we stopped them down. We stopped them last year with a lot less, and I understand they added CD now, but I'm very confident with what we added. We had a lot more, and we had somebody that actually shuts Amari Cooper down, and he beats up on us sometimes. So very excited about having Darius Slay here. But, we talked about Rieger, and we talked about these receivers. We've got 14 receivers. And sure, there's a big question mark there. Some people have asked about trading for some or bringing someone in from free agency. But, I thought that's where we'd go first, and that's where we went. We got Rieger, and then obviously Hurts threw us all off. I think Davian Taylor was overlooked. But, then when we're speaking about receivers, you got Hightower, then you traded for Goodwin, then you got Quez Watkins, and then the two undrafted free agents, Khalil Tate, converted quarterback from Arizona, going to be moved to wide receiver. Manesha Bailey, a guy that played linebacker, he's going to be converted to a wide receiver. So we like versatility, both over 6 foot, big guys. So maybe they push Greg Ward. So you added guys, and then we talked about earlier, your Rob Davises, Marcus Green, Deontay Burnett, Shelton Gibson last year. So they're going to come in and compete too. They're going to have to push these guys, but we've got competition. And I think I'm a little more confident than some other people, but it also just relies on them staying healthy. So I'm confident if they stay healthy. If they go down, oh man. But that's why we added so many guys behind them. And that's the possibility of keeping 6-7 receivers, Which do I think? I think it's going to be Rieger. I think Jalen Rieger and him are going to grow. And that's one of the things I talk about in my breakdown a month before the draft. I thought that this was someone that would grow, into a Steve Smith. The kid's actually pretty tough. So, he's like 5'11". They may say he's shorter, but dude, he's tough. Watch the tape, man. He even has like a muff punt at one point, just like Deshaun's back in the day. He takes it back to the house. I love the comparison, but, I think he's a lot tougher than Deshaun coming in. But he definitely needs to work on his passing. Definitely needs to work on getting off the press. So, but I think Rieger is going to grow up to be his favorite weapon. But I also have faith in Arcega-Whiteside to grow into that big body receiver. I haven't given up. I talked all last year about how much Carson Wentz might grow. Needed to go. They did. And we fixed those problems. So, and injuries, once again, they played a factor. So it's just like, we're going to make changes to this. We're going to see, hopefully those coaching changes, the additions at wide receiver really help. But I think Carson finally has a stable that he can allow him to get better, allow them to get better. It's just, everyone's going to make each other better. This entire team got better. So I think we've already done that, but there's just a couple things, as we're going to keep going through here with your questions and comments. And, I'll just keep running through in order of offense and defense, but I don't mind any question. But, there's definitely some depth questions, but the offense, man, to me, other than running back and JP, those are only question marks for me. I love Miles Sanders. It's just get someone just in case, and competition is always a good thing. And JP, same thing. Dillard, prove it, man. Show us that you got stronger. Show us that you are the left tackle for the future and that you will be the next bodyguard for Carson Wentz, because it's what we need, man. If you get him hurt, man, we're going to be calling for your head, dude. So we'll be calling JP back or trying to trade for him if he goes somewhere else. So can't have that happen. I think that's something you do. But, I'm not necessarily against a wide receiver, but have you seen the people that are out there, Was it like there's like people like Paul Kearse and stuff? But I mean, someone mentioned DJ Chark. Maybe you make a trade, but I don't think you need to necessarily. But you're not relying on young guys. It's all comes back to, and I think people forgot that. Deshaun is healthy. Arcega-Whiteside is hopefully healthy. Greg Ward. And hopefully Marquise Goodwin is healthy. So we'll see. Rieger is healthy. Hightower, Watkins. Hopefully these guys are all going to push each other. And the other guys we mentioned. So we've got competition. And, that's another thing. During, training camp and the rest of the offseason, preseason, people make, surprise cuts even, so, and there's trades and there's all kinds of stuff. And something I talked about before even free agency started, because I know people like to get ahead of themselves. So I said, just be patient. Why don't we calm down? We'll see what we add before we lose our minds. And, people still lose their minds, but you got to put things into context where, a lot of times veteran guys, there's like a wave, and then the rest of the guys are after the draft, especially because of the compensatory pick formula, how that affects, it doesn't cost you after the draft. So I think that was something people overlook, but moves can still be made. And I also think that this situation right now is making things a little hard for a lot of people to sign. Our cap situation make things hard to sign, so it's tough. I think Tavon Diggs will have more picks. I mean, Tavon Diggs is a good corner. He was somebody I watched. He was one of the corners I had high up there. But, yeah, bring it on, man. I think Rieger is going to light stuff up. I'm not afraid of it, but I think big play Slay. He's going to have a chance to shut people down. If this four-man rush can get to the quarterback, I think he has an opportunity to make some plays, man. But if they're not throwing to him, maybe your guy will have more of an opportunity because they'll probably be throwing at him a lot more. If the Eagles could do anything better, what would you say? Staying healthy, man. No, but anything, it's being consistent with running the ball. There's one of the things last year that really drove me wild. Jordan Howard, I don't feel was necessarily used properly. So that drove me wild. So run the ball. We started to, then Howard gets hurt. Miles started looking great at the end of the year. So I think we need to run the ball a little more. But I think that's why we talked about all the people that were brought in, some bright minds to really help. I think that you're going to see that. I think hopefully, and you'll probably see some more trickery. And we're trying to step up our game. The NFL is ever changing. So, Doug, man, let's get that Doug back, man. I'm all for it. Do what you got to do, man. So I'm pumped. I think you could definitely add now the tight end position. That's somewhere where, we have the best duo in the league. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. We all know that. Josh Perkins filled in well last year. We had some injuries there, and this guy was even playing wide receiver at times. Not too bad at blocking. Goddard's one of the best at blocking, but maybe we get ourselves another blocking tight end. I'm not sure. We talk about that. What was it? Noah Tagai, I believe his name was, the undrafted tight end we had gotten. So we added a little competition there. Alex Ellis from last year, off and on and off and on and off and on practice squad last year. So I don't know if we play that same exact game with the tight end position, only keep 2 on here, but pretty set there. Hopefully those guys stay healthy, though. But there's some decent tight ends out there, but I don't think any of these guys are going to want to come here and play third fiddle, not Delaney Walker or anyone like that. So, but I'm good with tight end. I really feel like I like receiver, but I wouldn't be against adding someone, maybe even a bigger body, because if Jeffrey isn't ready at the beginning of the season, who's your big guy? Arthur-Whiteside. Now, I understand that you've got Ertz and Goddard, but if that's your only guys, you want a receiver too. So is Watkins or Hightower going to be ready? I don't think so, especially with the way this offseason is going. So, man, it's so many question marks, and that's why I love talking football. Sucks we're not getting any real news right now, but at least we can talk about it, But like I said, man, and I'll always say this, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying like, this is the guys who make the team, but my mind is, this is just where we stand. But, I'm pumped about Rieger. I'm pumped about Hightower even, 4'3" guy, another Watkins, 4'3" guy, both over 6 foot, Hightower being 6'2". So excited to say the least, and Goodman. All right, brother. Zach, thank you so much for tuning in, man. Appreciate it. Hope you have a great day, man. Oh, thank you so much to everybody tuning in, man. Like, this is awesome. I love talking birds, with my Eagles family, but to the Eagles family here, and to everybody, man, not even Eagles fans, whoever you're a fan of, man, I'll talk any football with you, man. I'm not somebody that's just going to lie to you or talk. Like, I'll be real with you, but I love my birds. I bleed green. I almost passed away a couple years, and that's why I started doing this. And this is, we're just going to keep building on this. I'm very, very passionate, but I'll always keep it real with you guys. And I seriously, I love you guys all welcoming me. And this has been awesome. And I can't wait to just do this every Friday at 7, and hopefully, get some guests to come on, get some things like that. I just got my first player the other day on my show, right before I started working with A2D. I got to interview Mark McMillan, which was awesome. He talked about, playing with some awesome players and all the teams he played on. And, Eric Allen, he told me a story about him walking in the locker room his first day and Reggie White being like, who let their kid in here? And it was awesome to get the underdog story from someone like that. So just trying to build up, and we'll hopefully try to do stuff like that here too. Get guests, hopefully some of the guys that work on A2D as well, bring some knowledgeable people on. That's what I'm all about. Just talking knowledgeable stuff. While I was recuperating in the hospital and then in my bed, my girlfriend pushed me to start On the Road to Victory. And it was just, I was sick and tired of seeing certain people that you guys know, just all about clickbait, all about trolling. And I'm not here to bash anybody, so it is what it is. But my girlfriend was like, why don't you just start doing it? Like, you've literally, and, when my dad was still alive, diehard Eagles fan, buried with his Reggie jersey. But, he always wanted me to do this. So it was just like, all right, let's do this. And then the first year we won the Super Bowl. So felt like was on the right road, man. So I'm pumped to be here, man. And any questions you guys ever have, you can always reach out to me, outside of these videos. Follow me on the Road to Victory. I have YouTube On the Road to Victory, live with Jimmy Smith. I post all my videos there now. Facebook, Twitter at OTR2, the number, Victory. So definitely check me out, guys. But I'm having a great time, and we're going to keep busting through this roster, man. But we talked about the offense, and we talked about where it stands. I thought last year we had an opportunity to be something great, and you saw what it was capable of. Sure, we started off pretty sloppy, but when Deshaun came back, we had that comeback with him, and he just went off. We saw what a speedster would do when you took off the top. You saw the things that would open up. But now just imagine multiple speedsters. This is what Carson Wentz has needed. So we finally went out and did it. Got him some weapons, man. We thought we had that in Shelton Gibson. We thought, we did have Torrey Smith. We had, we brought Mike Wallace, and he got hurt right away. So we tried, but now we finally went ahead and, made the right move here. And obviously, last year we needed Andre Dillard, and this year, and then the second pick we needed Miles Sanders. So I'm all for those picks, but it's cool that we waited because I love Jalen Reagor. So the offense, the outlook's great for me. The line, obviously, you can't have a huge question mark at left tackle for me. Let's hope he got better. And that's especially with this stuff going on. Like, we all want to just see what's going on, and you really can't see much till they're playing, but it's like we just want to see something. We want to see Mailata growing too, and, behind him at least. But it's like, do we trust any of these guys? If Dillard gets hurt, and we're praying that Dillard, got better and toughened up. But I love the kid. That was the kid I thought we'd draft, and I really thought he'd be perfect. So let's just have faith that he did. But why not bring in JP? So question mark there at left tackle. Add Devonta Freeman. Add a Shady. I'm perfectly fine with that. If you think you need help at wide receiver and they do something like that, I don't think they do. I'd be perfectly fine with it. But I think we went ahead and addressed that. We went right into the draft. We didn't go out to free agents. We didn't need to do any of that. And maybe we tried trades and all that good stuff. And, I know a lot of people were pissed we didn't get CeeDee Lamb. But it's like, I don't think Howie didn't try. And I know the Cowboys didn't want to trade for us. But wild thought, maybe the other teams just wanted to make their picks. So we got our guy. That's who we wanted. We clearly took him over Justin Jefferson. This is who we wanted. They were studying him. I studied him. I am excited. I think you guys, if I can do anything for you today with my first show, is hopefully bring you some peace about that first round pick. I'm telling you, I did some hard work, man, hours upon hours, nights and weeks and months of just studying. And that was the guy I really just felt, that's who I picked in my mock draft this year. I thought Jalen Reagor was the guy. And that's who we picked. And I really felt he was perfect, and I think that he's going to be perfect. I got to talk to my buddies. We as we talked about it, we just agreed this guy is perfect. So we made that video, and I'd love you guys checked it out. But you're gonna see, and you saw people like Adam Lefko and other people bashing on him like it's a horrible pick and whatever. And he was like, all right, Skip Bayless. Like, he's like, I'm gonna show you. So there's some bets out there, the tattoos, all that good stuff. I don't know if he necessarily wins Rookie of the Year, like I said earlier, but I think he could definitely stand a chance to do some awesome stuff his first year. But he has the opportunity not to be thrown into the fire. These other guys we talked about, they need to stay healthy. And that's the huge question mark too there. Is Alshon Jeffrey coming back from this Lisfranc injury healthy? Is he starting on the pup? Because if he comes back and gets hurt, then you have to put him on IR, and he's out for at least 9 weeks. And then he comes back after the bye, week 10, maybe week 11, like, oh, God. So, I mean, if he's healthy, him and Carson have like 17 touchdowns together. I know he likes him. So why not? I wanted to try to get rid of him if we could, but nobody wants that. So why not just look forward to him being healthy, him and Deshaun, and hoping the best for it. And I hope that they can teach Arcega-Whiteside and teach, Reagor, and, Goodwin's there to help too. The younger guys, though, Hightower and Watkins, all those guys we mentioned. So there are definitely question marks at the offensive line. Question marks at the receiver, question marks at running back. But overall, if the season started right now, I'd be pretty happy with it. I'm not going to lie to you. I like this offense. I actually haven't got to play any Madden or any kind of updated roster or anything like that. But I'd love to. It's been a while, man. And I'm excited. Like, I'm real excited. I think Carson's finally going to show people, like I said earlier in the video. I think he's going to show people that he's one of the top quarterbacks in this league. He showed it to me when he did what he did with the team he had, because it wasn't just injuries to the receivers. He had no defense to help him. It was just all over the board. It was horrible. I can't even believe we did what we did. Seriously, we made the playoffs, man, and that was impressive, to see them pull it together like they did. So that's all I want to see, these guys fighting, because that's what we do. As fans, our only job is to cheer for these guys. I'm not all about, like, reaching out to them and telling them they suck. And it's like, now, if they're sucking, we're going to break it down, man. We're going to put things into context. We're going to talk about who sucks, what sucks, how we can fix it. I can't wait for the season to start because we'll have stuff to break down. I don't like to be somebody that's just like, got to trade for this guy. This guy sucks. It's like, pump the brakes. Let's actually talk about what's going on here and try to understand it. We did that last year. And wouldn't you know, injuries, Carson Wentz, micro, all these things were changed because they sucked. So we fixed the things I thought we needed to fix. And we went into the draft needing speed, and not just on offense, but on defense as well. So I'm excited for this offense. And I honestly feel like we're going to go into this season and have one of the best offenses in the league, if not the best. If it's clicking on all cylinders and you have Miles Sanders, because that, you have people taking off the top. Goodwin, Jackson, Rieger, multiple guys on the field at the same time. You're opening it up underneath. Goddard, Ertz, Jeffrey, whoever, Ward, whoever's making the team. And you're opening up the run for Miles Sanders. Like, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be very beautiful. I think it's going to be a big year for us. Clearly, we can't ever stop saying if we stay healthy. And that'll always be the thing. That'll always be the thing because we have to stay healthy. But we changed that up. We changed the medical staff. We changed all these things, and that's something that needed to happen. Very, very excited about this offense. So I thought in free agency, we didn't need to do much. I didn't like a lot of those guys that were out there. Thought maybe there was a couple we could go after, but didn't. Robinson from Kansas City, but hey, like I said then, there was like some poll. I was like, if I had to pick one, that's what I'd pick, but I don't think we need anyone. I think we need to address this in the draft, and we did, and then we traded for one too. Now I know Goodwin's dealt with some injuries and stuff, but he's not going to be relied on heavily. If he can just stay healthy for the time we need him, I think he could step it up too. So explosive offense with lots of weapons. It'll remind you of Andy Reid's offense, Kansas City. So that's what he's, they're like-minded people, and that's who Doug learned from, and now helped us win a Super Bowl. Then Andy got his after him, but we're going to be doing a lot of the same things, but I think that it's going to be awesome. So did great in the draft. I thought we'd really address that. The quarterback thing, man, Jalen Hurts, I've still baffled me. And you'll hear people like, oh, well, it's a cheap quarterback next 4 years. It's like, yeah, veteran quarterbacks don't cost that much. They really don't. Nate Sudfeld, I know we liked him a couple years ago. That's why we stopped the Colts from taking him off of our practice squad. We signed him to our active roster because we liked him so much, when we brought him from the Redskins a few weeks before that. So we had him, kept him around for the last couple of years. But then he gets hurt last year, breaks his hand. Ever since then, you brought McCown in. And even in the playoffs, it wasn't Sudfeld in there. He wasn't suited, so it was McCown. They don't trust in him. But, they've said he's going to be the number 2, and he could be, with Hurts not getting any time. But the thing is, it's like Sudfeld has expressed that he wants to go and start somewhere. So even if that's not next year, what if it's this year? What if we, find a quarterback needy team and it's Sudfeld that goes, and then in a couple of years it's Hurts, and maybe we are that quarterback factory that we're all like, say what? Who? What? Yeah. Not Kevin. All right, man. No doubt. So, I've grown up seeing some interesting ones. That's a very, from your Detmers to, Pete to everybody, man. But, it is what it is. The Hurts pick, we've got a backup quarterback now, and he was impressive. He could make this offense look pretty interesting. So, God forbid another cheap shot or anything happens, we've got somebody. So, I'm trying to look at it like he's a Philadelphia Eagle now. So I've got nothing but love for the kid. I'm hoping the best for him. I love him as a person. I love, the kid in college. I love watching his tape. He could really help us. I don't think he's going to be used the first half of the season much. If you do see him, that'd be, it's nothing to surprise with Doug. So maybe he does. I don't know, but I don't think so at first. I don't think you risk this kid. He's got to learn a lot. But like they said, I think he really is here to be the backup quarterback. I don't think this is some trickster stuff or anything like that. Should be very interesting. There's a lot of good things to look forward to, though, guys. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball. We addressed that because, like I was saying, if you could trade Sudfeld, do that, before we get to the defense one last time. But we have Hurts still there, and then maybe you bring in a veteran guy. You had Kyle Lauletta from the Giants practice squad last year. We brought in. Maybe we bring Clayton Thorson back, steal one from the Cowboys this year. We'll just keep going through the division. But, maybe that's a possibility. But the quarterback room is what it is right now. Sudfeld is the number 2 as it stands. But I'd love to see Hurts push him. But Sudfeld won't be here next year. So, yeah, I guess we have Hurts. And I'm not against competition for Wentz. I hope this lights a fire under his ass and he becomes that elite quarterback that we talked about, and that, he dominates the NFL. And it's like, all right, kid, well, you're going to be sitting on the back burner for a couple of years, and hopefully they can trade you. Hopefully he balls out in preseason, shows people what he's got, and we'll go from there. Now the defensive side of the ball. Man, we needed to spruce that up, and we did. Free agency, we started off, we went out and got Javon Hargrave. Love the Javon Hargrave edition. Couldn't be more excited about that. Javon Hargrave is going to make things. He's going to ease so much pressure for Fletcher Cox. And Fletcher Cox came back last year, and you could tell, the injuries were definitely still nagging with him. But I really thought that. Hold on, I'll try to bring these comments up over here. I thought that Fletcher Cox came back too early, and this is going to really help him out. I thought Malik Jackson was going to do that. Well, he also comes back from injury. Whoo! Monsters in the middle, dude. Then you're going to have Hassan Ridgeway, who was also hurt, and then he's a 1-year deal being brought back as the 4th defensive tackle. So a great rotation there. Malik can help on the outside. Really loving what I see there. So I can't wait to see Fletcher eat. Can't wait to see Hargrave, Jackson. But then we talked about edge rusher. I cannot wait to see, that. Sorry, I had to turn these comments back off. I know they'll toss them up for me, so I'll get to them when I see them, guys. I thought I missed somebody's. But, the edge rusher position is somewhere I would add some depth. That's how we won. And some people are like, oh, this guy's too old or he can't. Look, we added Chris Long, Michael Bennett last 3 years ago when we won the Super Bowl. So last time we had a real good pass rush. There was a couple older guys, but they didn't need to come in and play the whole game. So it's all about that rotation. We have Brandon Graham. We have Derek Barnett. Really liking what I see from Josh Sweat. We traded for Jannard Avery. I cannot wait to see. We traded a 4th-round pick, right, from the Browns. So I'd like to see what he's got. Sharif Miller was pretty much redshirted last year. I think that guy is literally going to be he could have been something special in my mind. So given the chance, we'll see. Defensive end, defensive tackle. I think he can play inside out. We'll see there, though. Joe Osman, he was somebody that was really showing up last year. I don't know if, we actually see him on the team, but he was looking real good. So maybe he pushes people. Casey Toohill was our last draft pick this year. We brought that guy from the International Player Program. He is exempt this year, can just sit on the practice squad for free. Free of charge, no roster spot or practice squad spot. Matt Leo, that guy. So we added a couple players to compete there, but also the guy from last year is going to end up on PUP, Deshaun Hall. That's somebody I think that could definitely end up on the PUP list. He was still hurt at the end of the year, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah, and the pressure on quarterbacks comment, that's something that we have to keep in mind, because that's always how this defense predicates itself off of making plays, and we're going to make so many more plays with someone like Slay. So yes, exactly, Brian. We need that. So why not add someone like an Everson Griffin? And I'm even okay if you had someone like a Ziggy Ansah or Deion Jordan, but I'd really like to have someone like a Jabal Sheard or Everson Griffin. And I'm not saying I'd be mad if it's Clowney, but I don't think he wants to come here. I don't think my thoughts on Jim Schwartz. I love Jim Schwartz, and I know a lot of people called for his head, but that was one of the things I tried to break down into context last year. It was like, look at what was going on around us with all the injuries, all the mayhem, offense not helping them out. There was a lot of things going on, and if you looked at the big picture, it was pretty clear to see that it was not Jim's fault. And some of those things he had to do, man. And I know a lot of people. It's like, oh, play 10 yards off. Well, if he doesn't play 10 yards off, he's getting killed off the line. It's just certain things. The way he runs his D, I think this year he is going to finally add, the defensive packages that he really wants, man. I am beyond excited. Got himself a cornerback 1. Now, just a second ago, we talked about, that defensive end position. That's still very, very questionable to me. And that makes every other position behind them much easier. But adding a cornerback 1, you can't go wrong there, man. Come on, guys. I'm 34 years old. I grew up very lucky growing up watching Eric Allen, Mark McMillan, and I got to see Troy Vincent, Bobby Taylor, even Al Harris for a little bit there. Then you saw Lito Shepard, Sheldon Brown. Like I've seen some pretty damn good corners. I saw Asante Samuel. So give us what we've had lately, and it's been rough. It's been very rough. We wanted a premier cornerback, and we got ourselves one. We got Darius Slay. I know he's 29, just turned 29. I don't think that's an issue. I think that's a good thing. He's a veteran. He's going to come in. Somebody needs to come in, teach these guys the things that they're lacking, and really make them better. So that's going to make the whole room better. We talked about Sidney Jones earlier in the video. Sidney Jones, man. Oh, I really would love for that kid to step it up. Could you imagine if he played like he did at Washington with Darius Slade? And we talked about this a little earlier in the video. Oh my God, that would make this defense just 2 shutdown corners with Nickel, Roby-Coleman, Cravon. And this is something I stress on all the time. The NFL is ever changing. You're seeing your trio sets, your quadruple. I don't care what you call people, 1, 2, 3, your nickel corner, there's going to be safeties lining up as linebackers. You're going to have guys like Maddox on the field at the same time as LeBlanc or Nickel, Roby-Coleman, your nickel corners. These guys are going to move around, covering your more versatile wide receivers, your running backs, your tight ends, depending on size, matchup. You put things, into context, and you see like, okay, we actually have a guy for this team. We have a guy that goes up against this. Oh, we could probably run more of this defense against this team. It's not like we just come out and, okay, like they give you your percentages. Like we ran the base 13% of the time, and then we run nickel 70. It's like, look, we do, but every week it's changing, and you try to do that. You don't want teams to know what you're doing. So, but I'm excited about Jim. I think Jim Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator. I was pumped when we got him. So I'm excited to see what he does with the number 1 corner. And hopefully we add some more depth and give him that. But I think the secondary has obviously been one of our faults. And we definitely filled that up. Now, on the same side of that token, man, we lost Malcolm Jenkins. That's rough. When you lose a player like that plays 99% of your snaps on D, plays special teams, the guy, a leader, vocal, just always giving it 110%. So I really just think that, that's a huge loss, but that's why, we talk about adding 3 players to fill that void. We brought Rodney McLeod back to play his free safety spot. Now you're going to have to see what you got in Will Parks free agency. I'm really excited to feel a guy that's really excited to be here. Jalen Mills finally, I think, will be used in the right correct situation. And then you talk about Kayvon Wallace, man. Love the kid. Went to Clemson. Obviously, he reminds us of Dawkins, was roommates with his son. Dawkins told us, let him do his thing, and we will. But we're all very hopeful that we get another safety because Malcolm Jenkins was the closest thing we've had to having a Brian Dawkins. So, it'd be awesome to see Kayvon. It was crazy. He got that huge tattoo on his back. So I'm pumped to see these safeties compete. But it's another place like maybe you could bring some competition there. How do you think Mills is going to do replacing Jenkins? Now, this is something I've harped on for a long time there, Ted. I think Jalen Mills should have been used in this safety, linebacker, nickel, corner, whatever role, move him all around. Certain matchups he is going to be good at, certain players. But he gets burnt too much. We're going to leave that up to the other guys now. So I think he'll do a good job filling in for Jenkins. But it's not going to be just on him. I think the defense is going to be changed up a little because you had that, like, well, Malcolm will be here. He'll hold that down. Now you got to be like, okay, are there some packages where you're keeping multiple safeties in? And I don't just mean, McLeod and Mills or something, but, Mills and Parks or Kayvon, so you're going to see this depending on what's going on. We talk about situation, all that good stuff. So I'm excited. I don't think he's going to be Malcolm Jenkins. No one's going to be Malcolm Jenkins, but I think he better hold it down because he's got 2 guys that are very hungry behind him. So I think the Eagles did a very good job adding depth there. And I would be against adding someone like Rashad Jones. I keep bringing it up. I think that's a name that would really make them step up their game. And I know we like to use multiple safeties, so that would really work out in the long run. We like to keep fresh legs all over. So I would definitely be pumped about that. Peter, thank you, man. I'm really loving all the welcomes. You guys are awesome. Seriously. Never felt so welcome before. This is amazing, man. You guys have been awesome with all the questions, comments, everything. Keep them coming, man. This is fantastic. I am proud and beyond ecstatic to be a part of this team. I mean, you guys are awesome. I've been following a lot of you into all sports. I just, started doing this was on my deathbed because it was Eagle season. I love my birds, baby. But, that's what I talk about. But I love all my sports, so I can't wait to check out all your guys' stuff, any that I've missed. I can't wait to meet all of you guys, whether it be over video or whatever. But, I really do appreciate you guys hopping on, sharing this, doing all you can because, seriously, man, it's awesome. I'm just doing what I can, something I've done my whole life. But now we're trying to make something real out of it, man. And, I do a lot of things. I'm a writer. I'm trying to do broadcasting. I've had one interview with a player now, but I try to bring on other writers, other people that I know. That I had Jalen Rieger's artist on the one day. I'm just trying to bring a whole Eagles family together, and I've been doing this, but especially at a time like right now, we need to show love, man. And that's what I was doing. And it really just, so I appreciate the love from you guys. And that's what I'm always about. You guys will get to know me, but I'm always here. I got my life turned upside down. Things were rough, man. Lost a lot of weight, almost died. I've still got health issues, but I'm a fighter, baby, just like our birds. And what a year to, fight for my life and win while the Eagles win the Super Bowl. So it's destiny. I feel like I definitely am welcomed here, and I can't wait to, fit in with you guys. And I think it's going to be awesome because a lot of the spirit that I feel when I'm talking birds, I can see it, and just sports in general with you guys. So cannot wait. I'm pumped, man. I'm loving tonight, man. I hope you guys are enjoying. I have not been able. There's like 500 comments coming at a time. I love it, but I haven't seen them. So it just says private chat for me. I turned it on at one point and just started freaking out. I don't want it to mess up my stream. So I'll just love the producers. I'm not used to that. It's so cool. So I've just been sitting back, letting the questions come to me. So I love it, man. Also, I also think we need a ball hawking safety. That's something, we're going to be lacking with Malcolm. So that's, something we talk about, Ted. I agree. We need somebody to come in and be that ball hawk. I think, Kayvon could do that, and he's a big hitter too. I think he could be the starter of the future, man. I have a lot of high hopes for him, but don't sleep on Will Parks either. So we'll see, man, but it's definitely questionable position for me. I appreciate that, man. And, it was a rough ride for me, man, but the Eagles helped me get through it. My Eagles family, I've had some great people around me, so I appreciate that, man. And I'm going to keep riding with you guys. So it's that green blood, baby. What do I think Philly's record will be? Those things are tough. When you do that, especially at a time right now where I don't even know what the end rosters are going to be, but I play along. I don't mind giving you guys those kind of answers. But it's tough to say, especially when you don't even know week to week what these teams are going to look like. Do they make a trade? Does their star quarterback go out? So hard to do. But when you look at the schedule now and you look at, that first little rough patch there, it's like, okay, we start on the road against the Redskins. That's good. Get a home win, hopefully, can beat them. Get a little toughened up, go home, beat the Rams and Bengals, hopefully, those young quarterbacks, hopefully we can get to them. Not big on Goff. He's not horrible, but I think the Rams are a little overrated. Bengals, hopefully Joe Burrow hasn't settled in too much yet. We can, get after him. I'd love to see that. But, it gets tough there. You see that where it's like the Steelers, Ravens, Niners going on there. You got to take a couple of those, man. And then you have a couple division games right after that, I believe. It's like the Giants and Cowboys. So you got some tough matchups to start the year. And then I love the bye at week 9. Always love that. But then you see the second half of the year, you only have 3 home games, I believe it is. You got some tough teams. Got the Seahawks, got the Saints. You got some teams, and you got your division matches at the end. We're going to end the season with the Redskins as well. So going to be a tough season, man. But if I had to give a record, I think this team, if it stays healthy, could – and I know people are going to have my head. I think this is a team capable of winning 12 games. Fully healthy, though, and dominating. Like, honestly, in 2017, I felt like we could have went to be 13-3, 14-2, dominating people. I think this team has a chance to be better than that Super Bowl team, and if they stay healthy, so why not? But to be safe, I could give you 12-4. I think this team is definitely going to be one of the top teams in the NFC, and I think it is definitely capable of winning another Super Bowl trophy for the Philadelphia Eagles. I thoroughly believe that, and I think Howie and the guys will make the necessary moves that they see now because they see what we see, but they don't have to rush into it just because we want them to rush into it. And I think if there are some problems, during the season, we see that Howie is willing to make the moves necessary. So I'm confident. I'm very confident in this team. What's going on, Chris? Hey, thanks for the shout out, brother. Oh, I really appreciate that, man. I look forward to you checking it out, man. On the Road to Victory on Facebook. It's at O2R2 Victory on Twitter, Instagram. On the Road to Victory live with Jimmy Smith, YouTube. So look forward to you following, chiming in, man. Love answering questions. This is what it's all about, man. I've always been this way. You guys know we're diehard fans. That's why people hate us, man. We're the best fans in the world, the most passionate, the most insane fans you've ever seen in your life. And, when you're on your deathbed, forcing on a jersey for the game, and they're like, you can't put that on. And I'm like, talk shit, dude. It was awesome. I can't wait to tell those stories with you guys. Don't like talking about myself too much, but let's keep it real with the football stuff. Don't mind those stories, but I'm a fighter, man. That year was special to me. It was to all of us. We waited our whole lives for that, man. So I really appreciate the shout outs for all you guys. And I appreciate you guys that'll check me out. But every Friday at 7, I will be here, man. And I can't wait because this is going to be awesome, dude. And when we actually get news, we get stuff to talk about, we'll talk about that too. But every week I'm going to try to break it down, do what I can for you guys. You know what I mean? Sorry, I missed the last part if you asked a question, but if the Birds relatively healthy, 11-5, yeah, sure. 5,000, he could definitely do that. 40 touchdowns, I definitely believe that as well. Man, I don't even know if he throws 8 interceptions, right? Hasn't he? He's one of the only quarterbacks to throw for 20 plus touchdowns in a season for the last 3 seasons and under 7 interceptions, right? So I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. I think he definitely has over 40. I think he's, and that's, getting pretty wild there. But, we throw to our backs. We throw to our tight ends, receivers, obviously. But I'm just saying, we utilize everyone. I think this is going to be a very intense year, man. I think they're going to be racking up some points, man. I'm telling you, I think this is going to be one of the top offenses in the league. If this guy can throw for over 4,000 with the garbage pail kids he did last year, yeah, I think he can go over 5,000. I agree with you. Score over 30 points a game. Woo! Hey, last year we were scoring, 20 at one point, and then there was 20. It definitely dropped out. But, we were doing some things. The defense was much improved, but we were actually not even giving up that much when it came to point last year. We actually did pretty well considering what was going on with that team. So I think with people if they stay healthy, people don't realize these guys come back. It's almost the same team. I know, JP Jenkins, I get it. It's almost the same team, so you add that power back. We talk about, is it Warren or Elijah Holyfield? So maybe bringing in a Freeman, you look for some of the things that we had, but you want to be different. You got to be ever changing. So speed. We added that, man. The year we won the Super Bowl, we had Torrey Smith, at the end of his career. So I think the guys we have now, oh my God, things that were they're about to go off. And, we were talking about the defense and, you say here, it's much improved. Yeah, I think it's very improved. You add a number 1 corner. Couldn't agree more with you. I think it's going to be a phenomenal defense. Not one of the best per se. I think we're going to score a lot of points and put our defense at a struggle with certain teams. Maybe they start racking up points. But I think with the number 1 corner, hopefully the safeties battle it out, work things out. And the defensive line actually produces some sacks, get to people. I think, we talked about the D tackles there. That is huge. Opening up costs from that double team is it's going to be a blessing, man. And Malik Jackson, we can't forget about him. And even Ridgeway spelling them, dude. I love those moves. So we'll see if we had an edge rusher. I think it would be smart, but the biggest question mark, man, it's linebacker, man. We'll get that to in a second here. We got Ted, TJ Schrager, and Lee will be fired. I don't know who you mean by Lee. D-Jax and Rieger, yeah, if D-Jax can stay healthy. Goodwin, Olympic speed. I'm pumped. We talked about the 14 receivers we had, man. Look at it. How many do you keep? 6, 7? Do you keep 8 even? I mean, and that's wild as hell to say that. But it's does Jeffrey go on the pup? Does something like that happen? Because you're okay, who are the guys from last year? You got Jeffrey. You got Jackson. You got Ward coming back to compete. You got Arthega-Whiteside, who hopefully does better in his second year, So you use your first draft pick on Rieger. Then you traded for Goodwin. You had Hightower. You got Watkins. Then you had the guys from last year, Rob Davis, Marcus Green, Deontay Burnett, Shelton Gibson. I think there's 2 more, Khalil Tate and Manesha Bailey, the undrafted free agent guy. So there's 14 guys all going to compete. Goodwin, sorry, man. I'm going off. Full cylinder here. So threw me a little off. I should have known what you were talking about. But Goodwin, yes. Thought that was a great trade because if you look at it, you moved back 20 picks, okay? You went from 190 to 210. You still got good picks in that area where you were moving around. So I like what they did there. Talked about liking that Prince Tagovailoa pick. So I'm pumped about that. But you moved 20 spots back to get a guy that has Olympic track speed, literally 4.2, when he's healthy. So you love that. But you talk about, 4.2 speed, that's pretty awesome. But it gives you some insurance behind Deshaun Jackson. It gives you some insurance, for Jalen Reagor to learn from these guys. So I'm really pumped up about that, man. And then they restructured him, right? It was like 1 year for 1.35 mil, I believe it is, with like $1 million in incentives. So not pretty sure that's what it was. So you can't be wrong with that contract. I think, he's going to compete with guys. So that's a good move. Whiteside and Ward. I think Whiteside has a much better chance. I think that a lot of people were calling for his head and they really shouldn't have been. I talked last year about Carson Wentz, Mike Rowe, every single week, how they weren't using that kid. And he had a couple flashes at the end here, but it was horrible. And I understood the injuries were taking part in things and all kinds of stuff was happening, but you thought you'd see more, and I'm not so sure if DK Metcalf goes off and has the kind of year he did in this offense. People say that all the time, but it's like, a lot of people would have struggled. So I'm not giving up on him. I think, I talked about earlier in the video, Aaron Moorhead being brought in as the wide receivers coach. I love that, man. I really think that's going to help this wide receiver room. A Super Bowl winning when he played wide receiver for the Colts. I think he's going to really help. I talked about Matthew Harper earlier in the video, someone that's been moving up in the ranks as an associate. I think he's going to do well as the assistant wide receiver coach. So it's going to really help these guys. So I think Whiteside will be that X receiver of the future. I really hope that, Jeffrey teaches him up. And if he stays healthy and really learns well, I had high hopes for him before the draft. He was a name I talked about last year. And I was really pumped when we got him. Was not pumped with what I saw at the end there. So you got to add some people that are going to compete. And that's exactly what we did. Now, not necessarily with him. I think, they still have faith in him. So you didn't necessarily see that X receiver, but they got some guys that are kind of on the fringe there. You know what I mean? Kind of, you already have dudes that are going to compete. So Whiteside doesn't have much competition other than Watkins and Hightowers, who I'm speaking of. They're 6', 6'2", so they could maybe one day. But watching their tape, they got to get a little tougher catching the ball. I'm not saying they haven't made catches, but when I see the competition that they make these catches against, it kind of makes me slow down a little bit. Like, okay, man, but they've got return capabilities and stuff. So Whiteside and Ward better step it up. And I know Ward can return, and he used to play quarterback, so he has versatility, but so did Khalil Tate. The undrafted guys. So they brought in guys that also don't give you any excuse or make you feel comfortable. Like, oh, well, I can do this. So they got an uphill battle, but I think J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's job is safe. Greg Ward, on the other hand, I was a big fan of him last year. I thought he should have won the job over Mac Hollins. I was pissed when he didn't. Happy to see that, we were lucky enough to get him back. I thought he was great in the small sample size we had. But I have high hopes for him. I really think that he did great, but, he better watch out, man. He's got some guys on his tail. So, yeah, we have competition now. We have competition at the wide receiver position. And we have speed. The two things we were lacking. So, I'm more than excited. I cannot wait for the season to start. Like, honestly, I think Press Taylor should get the play calling. Press Taylor definitely helps. And, Doug Peterson takes all this stuff in from all of them. That's something I talked about the other day. We haven't talked about in this video yet, but Press Taylor, love seeing him move up in the ranks. So let's hope that, Doug takes all this stuff in, if it's actually good stuff, from Rich Scangarello. That's somebody I've been talking about since we signed him. I was really pumped about that. A guy that's been in the league a long time. So I'd like to see what we got there. Linebacker. Yep. And I was just about to get to here. So let's see the question. We have talent at linebacker, but they're raw. And raw is thank you, Chris. That's exactly the word I was using right after we got Davian Taylor. Oh, we got a few in here. Rieger, rookie of the year. Not so sure because we spread it. We'll probably spread it around a lot, but he'll definitely be pushing for it, man. He's going to be good. All our speed and offense. It'll open up the field. Yeah, I talked about that earlier in the video, Chris. The receivers and the tight ends are going to open up for the running back. They're all going to make this easier on everyone. So it's going to be great. Sanders, we talked about, having a great season. And yeah, someone just mentioned Greg Ward. So yeah, he's going to have an uphill battle, man. He's really going to have to push for it. But, you mentioned the linebackers first here. Man, that's the biggest question mark for me. Biggest question mark, obviously, for probably most people. Let Nigel Bradham sit there in free agency, still didn't bring him back. So you look at where we stand. TJ Edwards, it was somebody I was very high on as an undrafted free agent last year. I talked about, let's keep our eye on him. Let's see if he doesn't start by the end of the year. He was phenomenal in the run. He actually, no missed tackles. he literally steps it up, watch the tape, but he's not great against the pass. And that's what you need to be in the NFL today. So he needs to work on some things, but I still love TJ. Can't wait to see what he does in year 2. Nate Gary, somebody I like, but he's got to work on those tackling skills, man. Great in coverage, not great, not one of the greatest, but he's pretty damn good. But got to work on that tackling, man. So it's a question mark there. So, you look at guys we had last year. We traded for Duke Riley, really helped out in special teams. But you'd really like to see him start stepping up and helping at linebacker too. So that's something I'd like to see. Alex Singleton, I was impressed by him in the preseason. He got brought up a couple times, but we'll see if he actually competes for linebacker as well. We had that undrafted guy, I believe it was Dante Olson from Wyoming, I want to say. The guy's a tackling machine, played with like a cast on all last season. Like, he's a pretty tough looking dude. So you love to see that kind of a Urlacher remind you. Well, Urlacher could cover too. He could do it all. So I'm not saying he's that guy. He's definitely got to work on some stuff. But now let's talk about the draft picks. I think the one draft pick that was very overshadowed, especially because Jalen Hurts, was picked right before it at pick 53. And when you have a pick like Miles Sanders at 53 the year before, yeah, I understand people were pissed. I was one of them. But, I think that it was overlooked that Davian Taylor is such a raw athlete, but he's so good, man. The guy's got speed. He can hit. Dude, like this guy, he's good, man. So to ease the pain. Now, for some people were pissed about Rieger. Some people were pissed about Hurts, too. So that was a double whammy. I can't imagine how you felt. I was super excited for Rieger, and then I got brought down. I was like, here we go, did you, baby? Woo! Threw me off, man. So to ease the pain, I went in and was like, I'm just going to study Davian Taylor here. Just going to watch much tape as I possibly can. I love the kid, but like you said, raw. And that was one of the banner topics I made for my show when I was talking about him. The kid's raw, though. Some people talk about him being a reach, sure. But if he pans out, he could be a steal. This kid has got the talents, man. Watch his tape. He flies around the ball. He's got to work on some stuff, sure. He definitely, we need him to work on coverage. We need a nickel guy, and we'd love for him to be that guy. And can play outside linebacker as well and base package, whatever he's got to do. And then you look at Sean Bradley, somebody I talked about for the draft, a Temple guy, hometown guy. So you really love to see that. He's pumped to play for the Eagles. They all are. I love all these young guys. I'm so pumped to see how happy they are. We're happy. But Sean Bradley, another guy, he could possibly be, maybe more prepared to get some playing time on defense rather than just special teams, because I think Taylor could be a huge contributor on special teams to start the year, find himself starting maybe by the end of the year. I think the kid, people are sleeping on him. He could really be something special. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for Sean Bradley as well. So you look at the guys, you're like, hey, there's excitement, but you don't know. There's too many question marks. So do you bring a guy like Nigel Bradham back, a veteran leader in the locker room that can help these guys? Do you bring in someone new? Do you bring in an Alec Ogletree? Do you bring in someone like Deron Lee or Mark Barron, good in, pass coverage like we talk about? Some of these guys have had their chances, but they've fallen out. Deron Lee had his chance with Kansas City last year, didn't work out. Barron with the Steelers last year didn't work out. So maybe in this system they work out better. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be against it. So there are a lot of question marks across the board, though. But we talked about the poll question. I hope you guys answered that. But we're rolling up on 2 hours here, man. So about to end the show. If you guys have any last questions or anything like that, hit me up now and I'll try to get through them. I don't have to cut it off necessarily at like exactly 2 hours, but, trying to stick to my time schedule here. But don't sleep on Sweat at the end. Yeah, I'm high on Josh Sweat. You will definitely learn that about me. Believe in him and Cindy Jones will break out. I definitely, apparently my phone wants to talk to me too. Hey, you know what, pal? I ain't got the time for you right now. But I think Sidney Jones could definitely break out. I'm excited for that. I think that, we need him to be the opposite corner of Darius Slay. So I'm pumped about that. And Trevor Williams, he's another one. Yeah, at the cornerback. And we didn't really get to talk too much on corner, but we can briefly here. I'd love Sidney to show up, but there's some other guys, Trevor Williams, Tremont Smith, Craig James is coming back. So those guys are going to compete. I'm not saying they're out of the loop. Trevor Williams, maybe out of those names, has a better chance than the other guys. He looked decent at Chargers. And there's some people that are really high on him. I'm not the same when you put things. Sure, his numbers are pretty decent in 1 year. But the way I looked at it with Casey Hayward, it wasn't too impressive to me where I think he's going to be the starter. But, hey, if he does and if Darius Slay teaches him up, I'm all for it, man. But, yeah, for sure. Basketball has everything to do with coaching, too. That's yeah, man. Sure. Yeah, for definitely. And Eagles has landed. Thanks for tuning in, man. We'll definitely talk about anything. We talk basketball, hockey. When those things start coming back, I'll try. But, predominantly, I talk birds. That's my forte. But I'm all about it, man. Cowboys suck. Go Birds! You get that, brother. Bleed green, but no, Harlem Cowboy, I appreciate you tuning in for this show, man. That really means a lot. Everybody that tuned in really means a lot, We talked about almost every position. We talked about the defense there at the end. Safety, also don't forget Marcus Epps. And I think Rudy Ford were another couple guys that are going to come in and push the other safeties that we talked about. But I think we talked about almost everyone that was, pretty much brought on this team. There's a couple practice squad guys maybe we left off and stuff. But, take care, Harlem Cowboy. Hope to see you next week. But, yeah, I had a phenomenal time. My first night. Couldn't be more ecstatic. Saw the number of the comments reaching. I didn't want to look at them. I had to just do this, and it was awesome. So to the people behind the screen, you guys are awesome. Can't wait to keep working with you. To the people that shared this, to the people that commented. I love it, man. I really can't thank you enough, and I look forward to following your shows. Friend me. I'll look out. I'll try to find you guys, share your stuff. I love that brotherly love, baby, and that's what I'm all about, spreading it, man. And, hey, thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. I'm glad you liked the show. I hope that, to see you following. We can talk birds any day, but I hope to see you here next Friday at 7, man. It was great getting all those questions from you. Everybody, all the questions. I appreciate Tom coming on. Seriously, man, it was awesome. Everybody at A2D, thank you for having me as the newest member of your family, welcoming me with open arms. Some of you guys reached out through message even. That really blew me away. Just really made me feel at home, made me feel comfortable, just be yourself, go get it. Like you guys watched some of my videos the past few days on my site, commenting, sharing, that was huge, man. That was huge. Thank you, Ted, for coming on today and following, dude. I come back every week, Friday at 7, man. I will be here. Try to bring on guests, try to bring you guys stuff so you don't just have to sit here, listen to me talk for hours. But I appreciate Tom coming on. We wanted him to come on, break the ice as the godfather of this. And I respect Tom and what he's building, what he's doing. Him and his takeover talk, I want to take over with him, man. And that's just, building a community of people that really want to talk sports, knowledgeable sports. So, and even if people that, don't know, and I'm not trying to say I know more than anyone, I just do lots of homework. I love this stuff, man. I live for football. I bleed green. So I love talking and trying to help people understand stuff. If you got any questions, man, don't feel embarrassed. You can private message me. I don't care, man. Seriously, it's birds 24/7. Don't give a damn, man. So you guys have been fantastic. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Fly, Eagles, fly, Ted. You know it. But, yeah, man, I hope to see you guys next Friday. Same place, same time, Friday at 7. And don't forget, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. You can find that at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. You can find their locations in Burlington, Princeton, and Cherry Hill. Find them at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. He's our doc. Make him your doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. I will see you guys next weekend at 7 o'clock. And as always, go Birds!